Moment of the sexual experience will ask the young lady, who's your daddy?
This should be remixed. If Officer Akimov is watching, this could be the next remix masterpiece, because just wait till you see what happens here. Oh, Officer Akimov is here. That's beautiful.
Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?
Who's your daddy?
I'm joined today by Pastor James David Manning.
Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?
No, I'm a Christian.
Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?
Who's your daddy?
I'm joined today by Pastor James David Manning.
Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?
A long-legged Mac Daddy is the most successful pimp on planet Earth. To reverence the Word of God, to trust it, to preach it, to teach it, loads and loads of money and tons of lives. Loads and loads of money and tons of lives.
What happened in prison that brought you to Jesus? What happened in prison that brought you to Jesus?
George Bush Sr. and George Bush Jr. have been penetrated by at least 100 men in their anus area. 100,000, 200,000 strong. I didn't do it. That's not my problem. So I got down on my knees. I didn't do it, but I was tempted.
Sounds like quite an evening.
Loads and loads of money and tons of lives. Loads and loads of money and tons of lives. Loads and loads of money and tons of lives. Loads and loads of money and tons of lives. Let me say something to you about marketing. Starbucks has done the exact same thing that Coca-Cola has done, except they've done it with semen.
That certainly seems to be a story that has been missed.
Look at that. 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 That is freaking predator right there.
What?
Who thinks he's smarter than you?
What?
Who thinks he's smarter than you?
What?
Who thinks he's smarter than you? This is just look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Pac-Man's a loser. Pac-Man's a loser. Pac-Man's a loser. Pac-Man's a loser. This is just look at that. This is just look at that. This is just look at that. This is just look at that.
Alex Jones is lying to you. That might come as a shock.
Pac-Man.
What?
Pac-Man.
What?
Pac-Man. This is just this is just Jones has fake callers. Jones has fake callers. Jones has fake callers. Jones has fake callers. This is just this is just corporate takeover, censorship, debanking, arrest, tyranny. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Corporate takeover, censorship, debanking, arrest, tyranny.
Trump was doing this with his personal toilet.
But sinks, toilets, and showers.
Elements of bathrooms.
10 times, 15 times.
Elements of bathrooms.
We're looking very strongly at sinks and showers.
Elements of bathrooms.
10 times, 15 times.
Elements of bathrooms.
What on earth is going on with Trump and toilets? Trump's White House toilet would be clogged with documents that Donald Trump was flushing down the toilet. Is this the explanation? Is this the explanation?
Big massive dumps.
Elements of bathrooms.
10 times, 15
Trump was doing this
times.
with his personal toilet.
Elements of bathrooms.
And showers.
Big massive dumps.
Elements of bathrooms.
Duty. 10 times, 15 times.
Elements of bathrooms.
bless the United States. Thank you very much.
Uh-oh. Mangoes?
My bag of mangoes.
Uh-oh. I love mangoes too.
9 cents. Okay. Now that we are up under a Biden's regime, my bag of mangoes now costs $11.99.
That seems like a pretty good deal. A bag of mangoes. Aren't mangoes like $3 each? That's it. I want what, $8 or $11. That sounds good.
The American people alive. It's highway robbery. Is what you doing. Bring my mangoes back down. My bag of mangoes. My bag of mangoes.
Mangoes?
My bag of mangoes. Bring my mangoes back down. Raise the price of fruit. Don't raise the price of fruit. Don't raise the price of fruit. Bring my mangoes back down.
The Wisconsin crowd identified with the mangoes.
Disproportionately affected the American people. Those who want me to be healthy. Those who want me to be healthy. It's highway robbery is what you're doing. Don't raise the price of fruit. Don't raise the price of fruit. Don't raise the price of fruit. Don't raise the price of fruit.
Mangoes? Welcome, everybody. What a day. What a day. Given the circumstances, I do have a cappuccino here. We are joining CPAC. This is the Candace Owens Blow Hard. No, the Candace Owens, you know who it is, panel. And it's going to be completely weaponized and delusional. In 30 minutes, President Joe Biden is going to announce his Supreme Court pick, which is going to be incredible and historic moment. We then have a Jen Psaki White House press briefing, and then later we are going to hear from Governor Kristi Noem and Ben Carson. It's a crazy, crazy day. I guess let's just join CPAC in progress. Settle in, everybody. We're going to have a lot to go over here.
I have grown and I have changed in so many ways, and so many of you guys in this room have been with me on this journey. Some of you guys met me as an on-campus.
Yeah. Some of us even remember when you were a Democrat before it became profitable for you to claim to be on the right.
Definitely all of you know me as a public speaker, and I would imagine that a lot of you guys found me through my personal organization, Blexit, which you know aims to bring...
Many of us actually find you repulsive.
...today. And some of our more obtuse friends in media seem to know me as a black white supremacist.
Beta girl!
Not sure how they worked out that piece of brilliance. But today is the first time that I emerge on the CPAC stage within my most official and my most accomplished capacity.
Your most
weaponized
weaponized
the stage
capacity.
as a mother. Not just one at home, but also we've got one on the way. And thank you.
Beta!
And I can say that this time, as I stand on this stage, I have never been more certain about who I am and what my purpose is in this world. So on the topic of motherhood, I wanted to tell you guys something that I learned about 5 years ago, which really shocked me. Ready? So in the wild, far from the flowery depictions that you see of PETA, where the animals are loving each other and hugging all the time, and the only thing that happens bad in the wild happens because of awful human beings.
This is weird.
In the wild, male bears actually kill their cubs. So the reason that hunters will seek out male bears and hunt them is because they're trying to preserve the bear population in certain areas. And let me explain that, because it's a weird thing to
Sometimes bears kill their cubs, but obviously if bears killed every cub, there'd be no bears.
They're also committing cannibalism sometimes. They actually will eat their cubs. So the question is why? Well, similar to the human species, when female bears give birth and are nursing their cubs, they cannot go into heat. But, and this is what the papa bears have worked out, if a nursing mother loses her cubs, the lactation will stop and she will once again...
You'd be shocked, but this is she's actually leading up to something about Ukraine. It's meandering.
...their cubs for sex, really, is what it comes down to.
Right.
Savage, to say the least. But there's something else that I'm getting at, and there is something that is amazing.
Tell us what it
about
is, 'cause
this
I can't
story
tell.
that I learned, and it's that when the male bear does attack, the mama bear fights back with everything in her to protect her offspring, and most times that is a fight to the death. That is actually where the true concept of the mama bear, which we all use colloquially today, it comes from that concept of them fighting to the death for their cubs. And as a result, those of you who live near wildlife will know this. When you see a bear cub anywhere, no matter how cute and cuddly it looks, you do not go near it, right? Because you know somewhere nearby, mama bear is lurking and she will take no prisoners. Now, I share this with you because lately I've been left wondering what our human world might look like if we all drew inspiration from such a notion, a world where even seeing a child signaled a respectable threat and a retreat from would-be predators. To the school boards.
She's talking like you would to a room of first graders, but I guess it's mostly adults who are there. Okay, once the panel starts, we'll get back to it. I'm finding this particular speech completely cringeworthy. Mikey says, in the Bible, bears also killed children for mocking a prophet's big ears. I'm not sure I know what that means. We may never get to the point. I want to say thank you to Hammerwerfer, as well as Frank Melk, Bobby, and a pet giraffe for the Twitch Prime subscriptions. Appreciate it, guys. We've been streaming every single day, and it's so great to have you here. Also want to say thanks to David West, who just grabbed a membership on my website and is number 5 today. Because CPAC is going on, you can use the coupon code CPAC Trash to get a discount. And first person to use the code CPAC Trash today, I'll send you a free item from my online store. Now, it is not... There's something for everyone today. We're going to have the Weaponized Delusions of Candace Owens in a soon-to-start panel. At the top of the hour, Joe Biden has decided who will be the next Supreme Court justice. It is Judge Jackson, and he will be introducing her. She will be speaking at the top of the hour. It's going to be a great event, and I look forward to covering it. Next hour, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki will be doing another press briefing, and we are continuing to monitor the situation in Ukraine and Russia. We have some video from on the ground. We are monitoring also the view in Kyiv and a whole bunch of different things. I have so many different things to talk about with you guys, so I'm really glad that you're here. One quick note, I want to send a very extra double special thank you to our viewers on Twitch. We have had the best 4-day period, as you can see here on Twitch, that we've had in months. Twitch has been really stagnant, sort of like one of those standing pools of water filled with mosquitoes, and it gets clogged, as you know, and it hasn't been good. Things are flowing a little more freely now on Twitch, and we've had a very, very nice 4-day streak on Twitch of growing our following there. So I really appreciate that and want to thank everybody who's been watching on Twitch. As a programming reminder, we will be here for a few hours covering all of these different things today. Tomorrow, I will be back with you at 6 p.m. Eastern for Donald Trump's keynote at CPAC. I'm expecting it to be extremely corrosive and filled with disinformation. That'll be 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. And then Tuesday, I hope nobody will miss Joe Biden's State of the Union address, where there may be major statements made about COVID. There may be major statements made about Russia, Ukraine, inflation, supply chain, gas prices, new initiatives, a lot of different things. It's seeming to me like one of the most consequential State of the Union addresses in a very long time. So that will be Tuesday, 8 Eastern. The speech starts at 9. We will start at 8 Eastern on Tuesday. Few other super chats coming in. Where are the Republicans slamming Biden about markets being down? Guys, I have to tell you, I am almost giddy at the numbers today. Look at this beautiful Dow. Up 850 points. We still have over 2 hours to go. It has been so disastrous lately. 5-day is down. The 1 month is down. 6 month is down. Year to date is down. 1 year still up. I have to tell you, I am thrilled. And I just keep buying. As you all know my strategy, I just keep buy. We have a beautiful day today on the Dow and in the markets, and I'm very, very glad to see that. I don't make any decisions day to day. I just keep buying. That's all it is. David, sir, thank you for your coverage. Can you explain the crazy hair? Oh, I was out snow blowing and I was wearing a hat and it was snow and it's all crazy. Great hair, David. Listen to King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard and keep up the good work. Okay, very good. We will look at that. Now, I saw something here. Hold on a second. BBC EU freezing Putin's assets. Oh, that would be just delightful. Is that true? The BBC is reporting that now Putin's personal assets will be frozen. Let me see. I'm not seeing that come across the wires yet. BBC Putin assets frozen. Let's see. Not seeing anything on that right now. Let's see. BBC has confirmed EU will enact asset freed of Putin. Oh, that is beautiful. I absolutely love it. They're going to freeze Putin's assets. That's great. We'll get to that a little bit later. Let's stick with this for now. I do want to say thank you to Chris Collins. Chris is the first person today to use the coupon code CPAC Trash. Chris, please email info@davidpacman.com to get your free item. Also, welcome to Mina Sposito and Rowan Bro, both of whom also use today's coupon code CPAC Trash. Let's just jump right in.
In the library at a school in Virginia. Can you talk to us about that story a bit?
Well, yeah, that was my son's high school. I'm a stay-at-home mom, as you mentioned, the importance of being a stay-at-home mom, right? And
radical homeschooling, guys. It's the way to indoctrinate. Radical homeschooling.
System in foreign private school, and I had seen a couple of stories on the news about some parents taking these pornographic books that they had found in their children's, coming home in their backpacks or whatever. And
yeah, like the Bible.
Is that a thing now? Is that something I should be worried about? And should I be looking at what's going on at the high school? And I looked the books up and they were there. And so I took them to my school board meeting and I showed the images and I read them out loud to my school board. And
I took the books and I said, cut it out.
Not like that the books were there, or did they not like that you had discovered that the books were there?
They didn't care that the books were there. They didn't like that I brought it to the public's attention. And
they didn't like that you were making a big deal out of books.
Duty to do that as a parent because I'm a Christian.
Right.
Right. This is something that, this shouldn't be going on in our schools. We actually have obscenity laws in the
This being what? Reading?
As them, and you cannot present this type of material to children. It's actually listed on the American Bar Association's website as grooming. You cannot show sexual images to children under the guise of even education. So
that's meant to apply to very specific situations, not to classroom lessons in front of a group of 20 kids. That's the dumbest thing I've maybe ever heard on this issue.
Ted, you represent North Carolina. Is that District 15? Is that correct?
District 13, yeah.
13. It's my lucky number. I want to ask you a question because we're seeing so many parents that are concerned and showing up to school board meetings. The school board meetings are angry that parents are asking questions, and it's very clear that we've ceded control to them. Particularly when it comes to COVID, there was a lot of concern. We know the science is in. Children are not at risk, more at risk certainly than the adults who are allowed to roam around freely without a mask in society. What's going on at the government level?
Well, what we're seeing is more engagement than ever from parents. Pretty much school boards for a long time, people were not engaged. They would look to their federal races, the state Senate, the U.S. Senate, the state House.
Now we've got people showing up to school boards and throwing tantrums like they're children. It's a great thing we've got going, huh?
Their school boards. So this is fantastic. But from the U.S. House, we're seeing legislation that recognizes, as conservatives, that we're seeing more psychological damage to these children. We're seeing more...
You know what's damaging to kids? Seeing mom on the news throwing a temper tantrum in front of all your teachers.
And down. We're seeing a 25% increase of children that are 5 to 11 that are causing self-harm and having clinical depression. This is very, very wrong. It's destructive to our children. We don't know how long this is going to last. So we've got bills that we're supporting from Representative Mark Green, from Dan Bishop, and from others that say, let's take these masks off. Let's not fund these schools that are keeping kids home and not allowing them back into the classroom. So look, we've got a lot of things, but we got to win. We got to get back to the majority, and we got to take that gavel back from Nancy Pelosi.
Absolutely.
It's funny how he's like, It's really all about school boards. It's not about national politics anymore. But what we really have to do to fix this is like take the speakership back from Pelosi. I thought you just said it didn't matter anymore.
Ideological damage. You have used your platform to really speak out, particularly about women's issues and this battle that we're seeing, the trans agenda in the classroom, trying to teach children to pick their genders. Talk about what is actually happening and why it's so important for you.
They want you to believe that someone's going, kids, today you're going to pick. Do you want to be a boy or do you want to be a girl? Today everybody will sign up for one or the other. Give me a break, guys.
He sent out an order to all public schools stating that if a teacher or a student says that there's two genders, that they're guilty of harassment.
Today everybody picks a desk. Tomorrow everybody picks a gender.
Discipline. So I went at it with him and asked him, how many genders are there? He tried to deflect from my question, and I went after him, and he finally said to me, I won't answer your question. Wow. So, you know, they're openly hostile to our American values, and it's, you know, it's time to...
Is transphobia an American value? I guess to these people it is.
...than ever, now that regular people like me, a grandma, parents, truck drivers, pilots, you know, they're aggressively hostile. But if you mess with our kids, you're going to see hostility. I mean, in a new way.
Great.
And I'll toss this to both of you guys, since you're working in government. It seems like it's worse than hostility. To me, this seems like active child abuse, right? When you're purposefully teaching children the wrong...
So let me interject here. I mean, it's like this is all pablum and it's just worthless trash. One of the really important takeaways we need to get from this is, as dumb as these people are, as non-issues as these topics are, as ignorant as everything going on is, they are so better organized than we are. They are all there. They've paid to be there. They're listening. They're taking direction. They're getting behind these issues. They're terrible issues to get behind. But they are so much more organized than we are, and they fund this stuff. They pay, and kids go down to this, you know, teenagers, college kids, they go down. They invest in this, and this is why the country keeps moving left. You ask people, what's your view on abortion? The country's as left as ever. You ask people, what's your view on some basic level of health care for everybody? The country's as left as ever. And yet they keep winning, partially because of gerrymandering, but partially because they are so much better organized. They're going to leave this inspired and ready to go do all this stuff at the school board meetings and all these different places. And they are a team that to some degree is functioning. There's a bit of a civil war, the pro-Trump, anti-Trump thing, and that's sort of separate, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. But we should laugh off the substance. But the fact that this is going on and that they're so engaged, this is partially why they're winning. This is partially why they're winning. The left doesn't do this stuff.
Time to today.
Yeah, Candace, thank you for the question. I grew up in Los Angeles, California. I live in New York City, but I spent the first 18 years of my life in Los Angeles. I went to 6th Avenue Elementary School, which is probably about 95% black, as you said, in the 60s and 70s, that general era. And we used to start class with the Pledge of Allegiance. We learned our history. We learned that George Washington was a good man who founded our country. Abraham Lincoln emancipated the slaves. It was a great country. We're proud of it. And we celebrated things like, 4th of July is coming. Isn't that great? Before we had President's Day, we had George Washington's birthday and Abraham Lincoln's birthday, which we celebrated. And in this 95% black school, we did things like learn how good the country is. We actually had lessons where we learned how to write. We learned how to do math. We didn't spend any time talking about gender. That didn't come up until sex ed in junior high or high school. And the stuff that's going on now that I hear about is just completely alien. It seems like it's dropped out of another planet. Right. And now kids spend a lot of time learning how to hate themselves, hate people of other races. We'll talk about critical race theory in a bit. And it's a totally different agenda, and it doesn't seem to be about learning skills so you can succeed as an American citizen, but learning how to hate your country. And I heard the word child abuse. I describe the current government school system as a system of institutionalized child abuse, and I think that's charitable to put it that way.
And on the topic of race, I always say that it seems
unbelievable people, huh?
Progressive, that it's become regressive, right? So they said, we've got to break away from Black Americans being systematically deemed underprivileged. So what we're going to do now is we've gone so forward, we're going to tell them that systematically they're underprivileged and that white people will forever be privileged.
I'm feeling a bit nauseous from this, so we're going to move over to a better event. We are going to move over to the announcement that Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson is President Joe Biden's nominee to become the 116th Associate Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, the first black woman who would be on the court if confirmed. We'll get back to CPAC. Okay, so don't, there's going to be a bit of something for everybody. Oh, I did have some clips here, so let's go to that. Hold on. I have so many different clips to play for you. Here is the Ukrainian President Zelensky posting a video of himself with his team. He is in the government quarter in Kyiv. He has not left. He is there, and he is attempting to defend Ukraine. Take a look.
Всім добрий вечір.
Right.
Лідер фракції тут, голова Офісу президента тут, прем'єр-міністр Шмигаль тут, Подоляк тут, президент тут. Всі ми тут, наші військові тут, громадяни суспільства тут, всі ми тут.
I wonder if toot means that we're here. Does that mean here?
Захищаємо нашу незалежність, нашу державу. І так буде й далі. Слава нашим захисникам, слава нашим захисницям. Слава Україні.
Okay, so they are there. Okay, he has not left. He is there. Air raid sirens ringing out in Kyiv just hours ago.
And a little bit of chicken fried.
What the hell? How did it all of a sudden go into Applebee's? That's crazy. Okay, I only meant to play the air raid siren. Okay, here is the same president of Ukraine, Zelensky, saying, listen, you can come here and help us defend Ukraine.
Що ви в Європі маєте бойовий досвід і не хочете дивитись на нерішучість політиків, ви можете вже прибути до нашої держави і разом з нами захищати Європу, де це зараз дуже потрібно.
They need help. They need help, guys. It is a crazy, crazy situation that is going on there as we stand by here for the announcement of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson as the next nominee to the Supreme Court. I guess because we have more of a sense of what is in Ukraine rather than what might be. The stock market has had a little bit of a pop today. The Dow up nearly 800 points right now, recovering just a fraction of what has been lost over the last 5 to 30 days. But certainly significant instability there. J-Dead says, how much you want to bet these people haven't picked up a bio textbook in the last 30 years? Oh, yeah, the people in this room don't read books. That's crazy. No. I mean, the vast majority, literally, what they know is what people, like the people on the stage, tell them. That's it. And it's very, very dangerous, for sure. Thank you to Michael Stone and Patty McNinja. Also, thanks to Jen here for gifting 2 subscriptions via Twitch, putting us at 12. I want to tell you guys that, listen, as a general thing, I would love for you to sign up on my website and support what we're doing. We are under particular attack right now from what I'm calling the alt-left or the toolsies. Here's one such message from Robert. Robert wrote in yesterday and said, David, I have unsubscribed from your show because you revealed our tribal. Saying specifically, Tulsi Gabbard speaks to citizens of all labels, calling us to remember our common ground is far greater than our pet peeves. So they did not like my critique of Tulsi. They have pulled their financial support. And you know what? That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Go. But what I'm asking you is help us fight these people. Really help us fight these people. You can sign up at joinpacman.com. We have this coupon code CPAC Trash, which you can use for a discount. If you prefer a Ukraine-related discount code, you can use the code Please Don't War. And then if you just want an old school code, you can use the code Obamna. Exactly. So that is something we are up against, and we are up against it very, very strongly right now. What else do we have? Chris says, is it ableism to say the right is crazy? kids in school that can't listen, learn, and grow are considered to have a learning disability, right? Yeah, we get into a semantic discussion about whether we're, when we say these people are nuts, are we saying literally mental illness, or are we saying just basically like it's cult-like deliberate ignorance? And I mean, it's an argument to be had, and I think everybody in my audience understands. I'm not stigmatizing actual mental illness when I talk in these terms. Bayphoto says, "Sir, this new super chat system is something bad. A lot of chats get missed. I enjoy supporting the channel with super chats, but it's getting frustrating." I have no control over how YouTube functions. Unfortunately, I wish I could control everything about how YouTube works, but YouTube made a change to the live streaming algorithm. And the best system we have is one where as the super chats come in, they pop in up here next to where it says $4.99. And then I click on them to build them up, to bring them up. And if they're $2, under $2, they just don't even pop up. Okay, so here's another one. You say it's a non-issue, but a local high school is offering the course Hating Your Country 101. Okay, I don't know if that's a joke. I just have no idea. I've never heard of that course. That's all I can tell you. Any moment we will be hearing from President Joe Biden. And here we go. This is a very, very major moment, guys. This will be the first nomination of a black woman to the Supreme Court.
Good afternoon. Today, as we watch freedom and liberty under attack abroad, I'm here to fulfill my responsibilities under the Constitution to preserve freedom and liberty here in the United States of America. And it's my honor to introduce to the country a daughter of former public school teachers, a proven consensus builder, an accomplished lawyer, a distinguished jurist, one of the nation's most prestigious courts. My nominee for the United States Supreme Court is Judge Ketanji Jackson. 4 weeks ago, when a member of the court, a friend of mine, we used to work together in the Senate, Justice Stephen Breyer, announced his retirement, I said then, choosing someone to serve on the United States Supreme Court is one of the most serious constitutional responsibility a president has.
True.
And I mean it. I promised the process would be rigorous, that I would select a nominee worthy of Justice Breyer's legacy of excellence and decency. Not a joke. Someone extremely qualified, with a brilliant legal mind, with the utmost character and integrity, which are equally as important. And though I would bring this decision, my perspective as a lawyer, former constitutional law professor, chairman of the Judiciary Committee for many, many years, and I'm almost reluctant to say it, someone who's presided over more Supreme Court nominations than almost anyone living today, which makes me 28 years old. I started doing it when I was 32.
That's a bunch of
and,
malarkey.
Who has devoted much of my career to thinking about the Constitution and the role of the Supreme Court. With that perspective, I carefully studied the record of candidates. I've invited senators of both political parties to offer their ideas and points of view, and I've met with a number of them. As a result, because I truly respect not only the consent, I know they give consent, but it says the Constitution says advice and consent. And I sought the advice of Democrats and Republicans. I've consulted with leading legal scholars and lawyers, and I've been fortunate to have the advice of the Vice President Harris, and I mean this sincerely, an exceptional lawyer, a former Attorney General in California, and a former member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. And during this process, I look for someone who, like Justice Breyer, has a pragmatic understanding that the law must work for the American people. Someone who has historical perspective to understand that the Constitution is a resilient charter of liberty. Someone with the wisdom to appreciate that the Constitution protects certain inalienable rights, rights that fall within the most fundamental personal freedoms that our society recognizes. And then someone with extraordinary character will bring to the Supreme Court an independent mind, uncompromising integrity, and with a strong moral compass and the courage to stand up for what she thinks is right. For too long, our government, our courts, haven't looked like America. And I believe it's time that we have a court that reflects the full talents and greatness of our nation, with a nominee of extraordinary qualifications. And that we inspire all young people to believe that they can one day serve their country at the highest level. I've admired these traits of pragmatism, historical perspective, wisdom, character in the jurists nominated by Republican presidents as well as Democratic presidents. And today, I'm pleased to introduce to the American people a candidate who continues in this great tradition. Judge Jackson grew up in Miami, Florida. And by the way, the mayor of Miami, a Republican, endorsed you. I thought that was interesting. Her parents grew up with segregation, but never gave up hope that their children would enjoy the true promise of America. Her parents graduated from historic black colleges and became public school teachers. Her mom, a principal. Her dad, a teacher who later went back to school and became a lawyer representing that very school district, that school board. Judge Jackson describes finding her love for the law from an apartment complex at the University of Miami where her dad was attending law school. She'd draw in her coloring book at the dining room table next to her dad's law books. She grew up to be a star student, elected mayor of her junior high school and president of her high school class, where she was a standout. She was a standout in the speech and debate team. And it was after a debate tournament that took place at Harvard when she was in high school that she believed she could one day be a student there. There were those who told her she shouldn't set her sights too high, but she refused to accept limits others set for her. She did go on to Harvard undergraduate school, where she graduated magna cum laude. She went to attend Harvard Law School, where she was a top student and editor of the prestigious Law Review. Then she applied for a highly competitive and coveted clerkship on the United States Supreme Court, and she was selected. The justice who thought she was worthy of this high honor was a young lawyer, was none other than Justice Stephen Breyer, whose seat I'm nominating her to fill. Not only did she learn about being a judge from Justice Breyer himself, she saw the great rigor through which Justice Breyer approached his work. She learned from his willingness to work with colleagues with different viewpoints, critical qualities, in my view, for any Supreme Court justice. Now, years later, she steps up to fill Justice Breyer's place in the court with a uniquely accomplished and wide-ranging background. She served both in public service as a federal public defender, and in private law practice as an accomplished lawyer and with a prestigious law firm. If confirmed, she will join Justice Sotomayor as the only other member of the United States Supreme Court who has experience as a trial court judge, a critical qualification in my view, and once again, following the footsteps of her mentor, Justice Breyer, she'd become the only member of the court who previously served as a member of the United States Sentencing Commission. And she brings additional perspective to the court as well. She comes from a family of law enforcement, with her brother and uncles having served as police officers. That's one reason I expect by the Fraternal Order of Police, the national organization today, said, and I quote, "There's little doubt she has the temperament, the intellect, and the legal experience and family background have earned disappointment." And they went on to say, they're confident she will, quote, "approach her future cases with an open mind and treat issues related to law enforcement fairly and justly." Incredibly, Judge Jackson has already been confirmed by the United States Senate 3 times. First, to serve on the U.S. Sentencing Commission, a bipartisan independent commission I helped design to reduce the unwarranted disparities in sentencing and promote transparency and fairness in the criminal justice system. On the commission, Judge Jackson was known for working with Democrats and Republicans to find common ground on critical issues. Second, she was confirmed by the United States Senate with bipartisan support on the federal district court to administer justice with the special rigors and fairness that come with presiding over trials. And third, she was confirmed with bipartisan Senate vote to serve on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia, considered the second most powerful court behind the Supreme Court itself, and the court she once argued cases before as a distinguished advocate. And when Judge Jackson was nominated to the Circuit Court, one of his distinguished retired members, Judge Thomas Griffin, a former general counsel of Brigham Young University.
A lot of speculation in the chat about whether she'll get confirmed. I think there's no question that she'll get confirmed. Yes, there will be Republicans who vote against her, but she is obviously qualified, and there is no. You're going to have Republicans who vote to confirm, and she's going to get confirmed, assuming there's no huge mess up, like, waiting some period of time so that McConnell can try to delay it or whatever.
Is another superb qualification for service on the Supreme Court. 3 of the current Supreme Court justices also served as the D.C. Circuit judges, where Judge Jackson now serves. Her opinions are always carefully reasoned, tethered to precedent, and demonstrate respect for how the law impacts everyday people. It doesn't mean she puts her thumb on the scale of justice one way or the other, but she understands the broader impact of her decisions. Whether it's cases addressing the rights of workers or government service, she cares about making sure that our democracy works for the American people. She listens. She looks people in the eye, lawyers, defendants, victims, and families. And she strives to ensure that everyone understands why she made a decision, what the law is, and what it means to them. She strives to be fair, to get it right, to do justice. That's something all of us should remember, and it's something I've thought about throughout this process. As a matter of fact, I thought about it walking over here with her. One floor below, we have several displays celebrating Black History Month. One of them includes the judicial oath of office taken and signed by Justice Thurgood Marshall himself, an oath that will be once again administered to a distinguished American who will help write the next chapter in the history of the journey of America, a journey that Judge Jackson will take with her family. I hope I don't embarrass him, but her husband, Patrick, a surgeon, Dr. Patrick, stand up, let him see who you are. There you go.
Surgeon Patrick,
they
doctor.
Met when they were undergraduate students at Harvard, and he's a distinguished cancer surgeon at Georgetown. And like so many women in this country, Judge Jackson is a working mom. She had her eldest child, Talia, when she was a private lawyer in practice. She had her second child, Layla, when she served on the U.S. Sentencing Commission. Stand up, Layla. I asked Layla when I showed her through the office whether she'd like to be president. She looked, no. There's other things. Anyway, Layla, you're welcome to be here. Thank you so much. And welcome your sister who's up in school in Rhode Island now. I have children and grandchildren, and let me tell you, Judge, you're always a mom. That's not going to change no matter what you're doing. Whether you're on the Supreme Court or not. And I've always had a deep respect for the Supreme Court and judiciary as a co-equal branch of the government. I mean it. The court is equally as important as the presidency or the Congress. It's co-equal. So today, I'm pleased to nominate Judge Jackson, who will bring extraordinary qualifications, deep experience and intellect, and a rigorous judicial record to the court. Judge Jackson deserves to be confirmed as the next Justice of the Supreme Court. I've met with the chairman and ranking members of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Senator Dick Durbin, Senator Chuck Grassley, and my hope is that they will move promptly, and I know they'll move fairly.
We'll cover those hearings.
Judge Jackson, congratulations, and the podium is yours. Let me pull this out for you. Where is it? There you go. You got it? But, okay.
What's Biden doing?
See, presidents can't do much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, whoa, I see. Oh, I love the step stool. That's the best. That is the best.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I am truly humbled by the extraordinary honor of this nomination, and I am especially grateful for the care that you have taken in discharging your constitutional duty in service of our democracy with all that is going on in the world today. I also offer my sincerest thanks to you as well, Madam Vice President, for your invaluable role in this nomination process. I must begin these very brief remarks by thanking God for delivering me
Oh,
to this point in my
wow.
professional journey.
Republicans should like that.
Has been blessed beyond measure, and I do know that one can only come this far by faith.
Wow.
Among my many blessings, and indeed the very first, is the fact that I was born in this great country.
Guys, it doesn't sound like she hates America.
Hope and democracy the world has ever known. I was also blessed from my early days to have had a supportive and loving family. My mother and father, who have been married for 54 years, are at their home in Florida right now, and I know that they could not be more proud. It was my father who started me on this path when I was a child, as the president mentioned. My father made the fateful decision to transition from his job as a public high school history teacher and go to law school. Some of my earliest memories are of him sitting at the kitchen table, reading his law books. I watched him study, and he became my first professional.
Okay, do you guys want to stay here or go to Governor Kristi Noem at CPAC?
Provided invaluable support in those early days, working full-time to enable my father's career transition while also guiding and inspiring 4-year-old me.
Okay, most everybody's saying stay. Fair.
My brother Ketanji came along half a decade later, and I'm so proud of all that he's accomplished. After graduating from Howard University, he became a police officer and a detective on some of the toughest streets in the inner city of Baltimore. After that, he enlisted in the Army, serving 2 tours of duty in the Middle East. I believe that he was following the example set by my uncles who are in law enforcement. You may have read that I have one uncle who got caught up in the drug trade and received a life sentence. That is true. But law enforcement also runs in my family. In addition to my brother, I had 2 uncles who served decades as—
You guys think Republicans will grill her about an uncle who was in the drug trade? Do you guys think that'll come up in the confirmation hearings? Like they'll try to assail her character over that?
By the grace of God, as testament to the love and support that I've received from my family. I have also been blessed with many dear friends, colleagues, mentors, law clerks. I could not possibly name all of the people to whom I owe great thanks. But I must mention specifically the 3 brilliant jurists for whom I had the privilege of serving as a law clerk at the outset of my legal career. U.S. District Judge Patty Saris in Massachusetts, U.S. Court of Appeals Judge Bruce Selya in Rhode Island, and last but certainly not least, Associate Justice Stephen Breyer of the Supreme Court of the United States.
I mean, listen, Brett Kavanaugh was cheered and lionized for things he allegedly did, but she'll be attacked for things her uncle did. Yeah, I know, guys. I understand the hypocrisy.
Every way that a Supreme Court justice can perform at the highest level of skill and integrity while also being guided by civility, grace, pragmatism, and generosity of spirit. Justice Breyer, the members of the Senate will decide if I fill your seat, but please know that I could never fill your shoes.
Wow.
To my dear family, those who are here with me now and those who are watching from home, I am forever indebted to you for your love and support. To my beloved husband, Patrick, thank you for being my rock today and every day for these past 26 years. I love you. To my daughters, Talia and Layla, you are the light of my life. Please know that whatever title I may hold or whatever job I may have, I will still be your mom. That will never change. There are so many other people I would love to be able to address and to thank, but time is short, so let me end by sharing an interesting coincidence that has actually meant a great deal to me over the years. As it happens, I share a birthday with the first Black woman ever to be appointed as a federal judge, the Honorable Constance Baker Motley.
Wow.
We were born exactly 49 years to the day apart. Today, I proudly stand on Judge Motley's shoulders, sharing not only her birthday, but also her steadfast and courageous commitment to equal justice under law.
Wow.
Judge Motley's life and career has been a true inspiration to me as I have pursued this professional path. And if I am fortunate enough to be confirmed as the next Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, I can only hope that my life and career, my love of this country and the Constitution, and my commitment to upholding the rule of law and the sacred principles upon which this great nation was founded will inspire future generations of Americans. Thank you again, Mr. President, for this extraordinary honor.
I am really looking forward to her schooling some senators during...
Forgot to introduce the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, and the second gentleman. That seems strange to say that, but the second, Doug, is Emhoff. They're both here as well, so thank you.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you all.
Thank you. All right, I look forward to her schooling some senators on the law. That's going to be a great thing. So, an historic day there for sure. Let's go now to Kristi Noem delivering a febrile screed rife with misinformation at CPAC.
Reason, law, and representative government. And in Philadelphia in 1787, they put all of that together to craft the Constitution of the United States of America.
Oh, and before we even do this, I have a very, very, very important announcement. I have just learned that our good friend Farron Cousins and our good friend Mike Papantonio have pulled their show from Russian propaganda state television. Here's Farron. After a lengthy discussion this morning, Mike Papantonio and I made the decision to remove America's Lawyer from RT. We are immensely proud of the stories we've covered and relationships we've made, but we are moving forward on our own. And I congratulated them, David Pakman calling it an absolutely perfect decision to be applauded and congratulated. You guys all know I know these guys really well. And I think this is a fantastic decision for them. And they started doing that show on RT a long time ago when circumstances were different. It was always Russian state TV. And this is an absolutely perfect decision. Go to Farron and say, we are here with peace and love from the David Pakman stream, and we support your decision. We support your decision because it is the right decision. It is the right decision. I do want to say a couple thank yous. Mendo Scholar, One Time for Yo Mind, have just signed up via Twitch Prime and are numbers 13 and 14. Also, before we get back to Kristi Noem, thanks to Jafet Santana, who just signed up on my website with the code OBAMNA. And thank you to Samantha Archibald, who just signed up on my website with the code OBAMNA. Today is a great day to get a membership. Fight the Toolsy people who, as you can see here, are unsubscribing. They're canceling me. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. But a great day for you to sign up at joinpacman.com. Also, thanks to Humble Hazard for the Twitch Prime subscription. Let's get back to Kristi Noem.
Because of something you said on Facebook. It's already happening in the world. And I'm not talking about communist China's social credit system. I'm talking about Justin Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister, and the Emergencies Act he passed.
Yeah. Which he has since rescinded. I would be interested if she should mention and has rescinded.
It's on trucks. He used anti-terrorism finance laws to cover crowdfunding platforms like Give, Send, Go. And this is why the founders gave us the Constitution in the first place.
Yes.
They knew human nature had
to attack Justin Trudeau.
Power. In 2020, when most states were shutting down their economies and they were forcing unconstitutional lockdowns, We did something very different in
Yes.
South Dakota.
We did nothing.
Our state motto is, under God, the people rule, and I followed it.
Is she dressed like David Miscavige, the Scientology guy? Is there something there about that?
As governor, I believe that the best way to fight a danger in our country was through an informed and free American people who made decisions for themselves. I refused to use unconstitutional powers.
Right.
We never issued mask mandates. We didn't mandate vaccines. We never kept anybody from going to church, and we kept kids in the classroom.
Look at this crowd, huh? Standing ovation for ignoring COVID. What a world we live in.
I didn't arrest or ticket or fine a single individual for exercising their basic rights. South Dakota was the only state that didn't even define what an essential business was.
Right.
Every business is essential. Looking around the world today, we see fundamental freedoms evaporating because of COVID lockdowns.
No, we
but
don't.
not in South Dakota. We drew a clear line, and the line between tyranny and freedom.
Does anybody even know what she's talking about? I mean, for months, I walk around. I've been on the West Coast, the East Coast, South. I'm everywhere. I sometimes see people wearing masks. Like, what are they talking about? Nobody knows.
The left crushes free speech. Conservatives celebrate free expression. The left says America is racist and that it's evil. Conservatives know America is not the sum of our past mistakes.
America's flawed. Flawed would be a better word.
So-called experts is smart enough to solve our problems, but conservatives know that everyone can contribute and that experts are often the last group who should be put in charge.
It's amazing what you can do when almost no one lives in the state you're the governor of.
But he saved America at a crucial time in our history. In Boston, there was approximately 11,000 British soldiers occupying the city during the Revolutionary War. Now, George Washington's ragtag army of Continentals surrounded them, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. The Americans carried only their personal muskets. They didn't have any cannons. They didn't have any ammunition. General Washington knew that as soon as the warmer weather would come, they'd be in trouble. Now, the British, they were going to break out of Boston when it warmed up, storm his position, and that they would end the Revolutionary War. But then a 25-year-old bookseller named Henry Knox came to General Washington with a proposal. Now, Knox had never been in combat.
Crowd's dead. They don't know what's going on. They're dazed. Here's some interesting news I want to present to you guys as Kristi Noem continues ranting. The former heavyweight boxing champion Vitaly Klitschko is currently the mayor of Ukraine's capital city, Kyiv. Many people don't know that, and it's a shame that many people don't know that. He is going to be staying in Kyiv and taking up arms to fight the Russian invasion with his brother, Vladimir Klitschko. This is an incredible story, an incredible story. They plan to fight. Look at this.
Partners, to observe this tragedy that is happening nowadays in Ukraine and this senseless war, which is not going to have any winners but losers.
Nope.
I just want to tell you, we must stay united.
No beta energy here, guys.
Beta! Against this aggression, against Russian aggression. Don't let it happen, continue happening in Ukraine. Don't let it happening in Europe and eventually in the world. United, we're strong. Support Ukraine. Thank you.
Wow. So he's literally going to be taking up arms and staying, which is I mean, what is happening in Ukraine and Russia right now is it's just an incredible thing. It's horrifying. And I mean, what can we even say?
You are writing a chapter of that story too. And what will it say what should we do? First, number one, speak the truth. The left lives on lies. It's part of their power to frighten people.
I love this super chat message. David, sir, enjoy this tranche of my donation budget. And if you're not careful, you may receive a more severe tranche of donations in the future. I will be careful, Avi. Thank you.
Let them know that they are not alone in thinking that. Remind them that there is a reality and a truth still in this world. We can know it and we can live by it.
Right.
It sets us free and it makes us happy.
Right.
Second, never give up. We won on mask mandates because people got involved in their communities. And we are going to...
They didn't really win. Like, most places had mask mandates at the height of the pandemic, and just about every place has gotten rid of them.
And when we do, it will be because thousands of ordinary people across our country simply said, enough. National politics starts on your street. It starts in your neighborhood. Get involved, lead, find the best fighter that you can and have their back in the trenches. That's the beauty of federalism. Remember what we are fighting to conserve. When I served in Congress, I'd often walk past the National Archives, and there's an inscription on the outside of the building that says this: the glory and romance.
Folks, we have breaking news that it appears as though Russian forces are pushing across Ukraine.
About weapons to people who have military training, and they are even telling people to prepare Molotov cocktails if it's necessary. And we are also seeing that here in the South with increased military activity around the city where I am right now.
Richard, the president there, President Zelensky, has offered to negotiate with President Putin. What would be the conditions for negotiations to happen?
For Zelensky, none. Zelensky has said time and time again that he wants to meet with Vladimir Putin, that he wants to meet with him directly. He wants to meet with him with the United States. He wants to meet with him with anybody who will meet directly with Putin, arrange a meeting between him and Vladimir Putin. But Putin has not been willing to take that direct meeting with Zelensky, a president he has called a neo-Nazi, and who he clearly wants to unseat from power. When you hear Putin,
I am getting word that the Kyiv cam is down. I'm going to keep looking.
Very clear that the goal of this entire operation is to get rid of not just Zelensky, but the entire system that put him in power, a democratic system that has been in place here for the last 8 years. So Russia says its conditions are simple. Ukraine has to give up. Ukraine has to stop.
Okay, so here we have a number of different cameras of what's happening, and nothing in particular going on right now. Yeah.
He's saying he's willing to talk now, at any time, in any place, and Russia's saying only after a surrender.
The Ukrainian military is still fighting, Richard. They're fighting a military presence from Russia that is significantly larger and more powerful.
All right, so they don't really seem to know too much of what's going on. We are over at CPAC. What is expected next is a very weaponized panel on making Middle East peace great again. And then Dr. Ben Carson will be speaking to Ben Ferguson, and it's all going to be absolutely delusional. We also have Jen Psaki scheduled for a press briefing at the top of the hour. Super chats are coming in. Francisco says, David, current heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk is armed with the troops in Ukraine. He was living in the UK and returned to Ukraine to fight. Incredible. From the standpoint of massive dumps, how awake, not woke, would you consider this CPAC conference? They're barely conscious. It's wild. CPAC, the conference for people they're personally living Nicolas Cage's character in a National Treasure movie. Exactly. Very, very much so. Let me say thank you to some incredible people. Slatka and Humble Hazard have made Twitch Prime subscriptions at Twitch, numbers 18 and 19 for today. Today is the perfect day to re-up or create a Twitch Prime subscription. Remember, those are free if you have Amazon Prime. Don't let Bezos keep the money. If you have Amazon Prime and you're not subscribed with Twitch Prime, which is free, you're just letting Bezos keep the money, which is Not what I would be doing. Not what I would be doing. Okay, couple other clips for you. Here's a video of Marco Rubio speaking at CPAC about schools indoctrinating children. And then Thomas Kennedy went up to ask him about Florida Republicans banning the word gay, and Rubio ran away.
Have ever been. So that's why to make sure that happens. What about Florida schools censoring the word gay? Do you have anything to say about that? Do you have to say anything to say about that? About Florida schools censoring the word gay? What about canceling the word gay in Florida schools, erasing gay youth, not teaching about racism in schools, legislating that?
Oh, man.
You have anything to say, Marco Rubio? You don't, because you're a hypocrite.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, do you guys want me to make an announcement about Florida or Florida? I'll announce both. Here's something really exciting. I am going to be appearing. I'm going to be doing one interview in Florida and one in Florida. Okay. In Florida, I will be appearing on the Patrick Bet David podcast. Many of you saying I should really be on there. They need a little bit of progressive influence. And Patrick has been nice enough to invite me. And so we are lining up the logistics. I will be appearing with Patrick Bet David. That's in Florida. Then I will drive to Florida, where I will be appearing. I think this is all, we're working it out, with Anthony Pompliano on the Best Business Show, another rapidly growing YouTube channel. And so that's all potentially happening in March. These are both interviews with not like hard right people, but just sort of like casually center right people who rarely talk to progressives. So I think these are pretty big opportunities. Now, people are saying, what about Farron? Farron has nothing to do with this. Farron is in a totally different part of Florida. Farron is not in Florida. Farron's in Florida. He's almost in Alabama. Okay. So, yeah. So we're going to be, that's going to be upcoming in March, and you can see the interviews when they air on these respective channels. It's going to be, I think it should be good. It'll be really good. I'm glad to get back out there and start doing some stuff. I think it's going to be great. Okay. I don't know that we really care about this particular speech. Let's keep looking at some other things. Oh, this is interesting. YouTube continues to allow RT to monetize their channel amid Russia's invasion of Ukraine. RT is Russian state television. And if you look, I guess, I don't know that this is an indication that they are monetized necessarily. Actually, is it monetized? I don't see any ads. I don't even know that this is true. I don't want to report something that's untrue. Okay, yeah, here is an ad. Fine, here is an ad on RT. Yeah, RT should not be allowed to monetize. I mean, they are the people doing the invading, and then they monetize reporting on the invading. That doesn't make any sense. That's not good. And then here's another example of another one of these lunatic right-wing defenses of Putin. This guy, Stu Peters, claims when he got sick with COVID, he claims that someone injected or infected him with COVID. Here's his view on this stuff.
Let's be real about a few things. Canada cracking down on protesters and freedom of speech, seizing truckers' bank accounts matters a lot more than Ukraine. For that matter, the tyranny of our own leaders matters a lot more than anything Vladimir Putin does. Vladimir Putin isn't forcing you to get a vaccine. Vladimir Putin isn't deplatforming you from Twitter and YouTube and Airbnb and seizing your bank accounts. Vladimir Putin isn't propagandizing your children into cutting their genitals off.
So basically, this guy likes what Putin's doing because Putin is transphobic. Quite a nuanced take, huh? I guess we could say. Okay. Next, do you think the Trump administration could be blackmailing the prosecutors that resigned? I have no evidence for that. I have no evidence that that's what's going on. Thank you to 77 Degrees, Justin Andrew Watson, and Sprankton for the Twitch Prime subscriptions, numbers 20, 21, and 22. Yeah, Adam Laxalt is absolutely horrible, so we're not going to listen to him. They have not yet discussed the price of fruit or mangoes at CPAC. That is true. I do have a bunch of different voicemails, many related to what's going on here. So let me play just a couple for you.
Yours are so stupid. There's like some chick writing poetry for Putin or something. She's like, dude, it's just like, man, war's just like really bad.
Okay. Here's another one.
It concerns me, David, looking back when Russia wanted to do their little war games in Irish waters. That area is much closer to our NATO allies, England, Ireland, and of course close to the United States. So they're prepping something, perhaps.
Interesting. More just calls dumping in about Russia.
So I'm watching Fox News and they keep talking about the energy problem and how we're getting oil from Russia and how the sanctions aren't going far enough because it's not stopping that. Do you think that if hypothetically, if we had other things in place and we were to stop that, would that make a difference? Or do you think Fox News is just blowing smoke? It's a way to attack Biden and make him look bad? Or do you think that actually would make a difference?
I don't really think it makes a difference on terms of policy, but it definitely makes a difference in terms of the narrative, the predominant narratives that are out there, for sure. Ryan says, thank you for all you do, David. This show gives me hope some days. Thank you. It's great to have you here. Let's see what else we have on Russia. Let's see what else we've got. A lot of confused voicemails.
This is Tony again. Say maybe chortle was the right word. I'm sorry. But it was fantastic, David. I salute you. That was the greatest thing I've seen. It's just absolutely fantastic. And it was so great and enlightened my heart to see you do that. And
I don't know what the caller's talking about. I really don't know. I'm not sure what that's about. Okay.
Hello. Nice of Trump to help Putin out so much, huh? Good thing he let him know that the U.S. wouldn't physically go in and do it. Yep, Trump was a big help with Putin.
Man, I don't know what anybody's talking about. Weird.
David Packman, the Hodge twins on YouTube, they brought up a good point about the media's portrayal of violence.
I don't think that Troy York has any idea what's going on.
Hi, David. I'm catching up on your coverage of the Russia-Ukraine war, and I just wanted to call in to, one, thank you for your nuanced and historic understanding of what's happening now.
Wow.
I'm really glad that you dismantled the notion that the West promised Russia no eastward expansion, as we know there was no formal agreement to that, but also recognizing, that Russian perception of what happened is also important here. But I just wanted to add that while I agree 100% with that analysis, another addition to this would be that where NATO and the West failed was not in their expansion, and Mehdi Hassan actually tweeted an article about this, but that the failure was to not politically and economically integrate Russia the same way it did other former Soviet republics.
Okay, but we can't also only blame NATO for that. I mean, look, how easy is it to integrate a place where the egos are like Putin's ego? I mean, and say, wait, we want to integrate all of you.
And it treated Russia as just a descendant of the Soviet Union, the sole descendant, and they were given punitive, punishing agreements. And I think it's a lesson we should have learned from Germany after World War I. I
mean, it's a fair voicemail. I just don't think it's completely historically accurate, but that's okay. I love that. That's a clear, substantive voicemail. They're not saying anything anti-Semitic to me. And that's always a great thing. That's always a great thing.
Hey, David, it's Eric from Mass. Hey, I got a question for you.
what do you think about Truth Social? One of their first accounts is Q.
Yeah, I tried to sign up. It didn't work, and it already seems to be completely imploding.
Tonight you were talking about the alt-left, and I personally am an older listener. I rarely listen to your show anymore, but tonight I heard you talk about the alt-left. When you're talking about Matt Taibbi, Tulsi Gabbard, Glenn Greenwald, Jimmy Dore, these are staples on RT. They're staples on Fox News. When all you do, when these personalities, when all they do, and that's all they do, is bash pundits and politicians on the left.
I love it. It is pundits, not pundents, but otherwise this is a beautiful voicemail.
Who is it that they're serving, David? They're serving the right.
Wow.
These people are trying to create apathy from left-leaning voters.
Yep.
They're trying to make you angry. They don't want you to vote. I think who knows where they come from and who knows who they vote for.
Right.
But I never hear anything positive come from these people. Anything positive about the left coming from these people. They serve the right. They're not left by any means.
Wow, what a strong voicemail, guys. Very, very strong voicemail, I have to say. I want to say thank you to, that was Based and Blue-Pilled. Thanks to Fruity Halo, D. Gudy, and West Grimm for the Twitch Prime subscriptions numbers 23, 24, and 25. The coupon code CPAC Trash is still available to anybody who wants it. Kevin says via Super Chat, I thought Trump endorsing Putin would be a lot more concerning to these freedom lovers. They really just like dictators, huh? They are fundamentally reactionaries. Yes, exactly. David, sir, what will the war in Ukraine do to the price of mangoes? Is the Biden regime artificially driving up mango prices? Look into that, please. I don't think this war will have any impact on mango prices. I really don't. Let's see what else we've got here.
Yeah, I'm calling pertaining to a technical problem I'm having with your network, David Pakman show. Okay. The problem that I'm having is that, I'm trying to understand, how did you become such a fucking idiot? That's the only question I have. If you could call me and, answer that for me, I would surely appreciate it. My name is Roy, 561.
Whoa. Okay, don't want to dox this guy, but what he is saying is fascinating. Then he continues.
On TV, and I've seen a lot of idiots. Anyway, give me a call. This is Roy, 561.
Oh, God, he's giving the number again. Jeez, Roy. Okay, let's skip forward.
There's people. And we also have a president that lives here who cares about his people. And you watch it when you trash talk Donald Trump, you son of a bitch. You're a piece of garbage. You know that? You're going to burn in hell. David Pakman, you look like you like to take it up the ass.
Oh, okay. So it's homophobic. Guys, I'm so shocked that this devolved into homophobia. I really didn't see it coming. I really didn't. It came out of nowhere that this guy's homophobic. He seemed so balanced in every way, and then just out of nowhere, homophobia, and it's so unpredictable. You really don't see it. Thanks to Rich E, Brazen 3, and Damian Brown for the Twitch Prime subscriptions, numbers 26, 27, and 28. I really appreciate that. Other super chats coming in. Putin and the U.S. played tug of war over Ukraine for a long time. Putin saw he's losing and he set the rope on fire. Yeah, another analogy is he pooped in the sandbox because it was time for him to leave. Nathan's 1212 just got a Twitch Prime subscription and is number 29. Guys, let's give away another item. We are at 29. Number 30, meaning the next person to get a membership on my website, joinpacman.com, even with a coupon code, gets a free item. We've got coffee mugs, baseball hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and sweatshirts, okay? Next person to sign up at joinpacman.com and move this to 30, You get a free item. We'll send it to you anywhere in the world. 3 coupon codes available. First coupon code is CPAC Trash. Second coupon code is Please Don't War. Third coupon code is Obama. Obama. Okay? Whoever is the next person to sign up gets the free item. I think Russia has legitimate concerns about NATO, but they have gone way too far. Still, NATO should not increase troops in the Baltics. We need peace. If Russia only cared about ethnic Russians and NATO expansion, why does he go after Ukraine and not Belarus, Kazakhstan? They're not democratic. Beautiful question. Christopher says, David, please clarify your anti-war position. I don't know what you want me to clarify. War is bad, guys. I'm against it. Now I'm Tulsi. No, I don't know. You tell me which war, but I'm against it. I don't know. If you better can indicate to me what it is that you want me to clarify, I will clarify. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. Standing by for Jen Psaki. Any moment we will be getting a press briefing from Jen Psaki. When she starts, I will step away, refill my water, take a 5, and then be back. We've got not only a long stream, but a very wide stream today. Let's see here. Other Russia-related voicemails. Let's see what we got.
David Pakman, I am calling for 2 reasons. One, please check your personal Instagram DMs.
I don't do that. Guys, if you message me on Discord, message me on TikToks, message me on Instagram, try to DM me on Twitter, although I think you can't DM me unless I'm following you. I can't keep up with it. We used to get 3,000 different messages a day. We're now up to 5,000 different messages today across all platforms. I can't respond to anybody personally. So what I can do is I'll play voicemails. If you call when we take calls, I'll talk to you there. Eight or 9 emails we feature on the podcast each week, but I just can't. I'm sorry, guys. It just doesn't work. And by the way, one thing sometimes people do is sometimes I will see emails like, hey, David, could you do me a favor? Do you really think I'm going to write back and say, yes, let me know what the favor is so I can evaluate whether I'm able to do that? Guys, I'm really busy producing the show. So I'm sorry. It's not possible. Okay, new member number 30 today is Adrian Subia, who just signed up with the coupon code Obama and has earned a free item from my online store. Adrian, please email info@davidpakman.com. Tell me what you'd like and where you would like it sent. You can pick from davidpakman.com/gear. Ina Brkovic has also signed up on my website. Jeremy Frigerio is a new member. Scott Childs has signed up. James Harris, Joseph Moran, and Bethany Dela Cruz. Thank you to all 6 of you. I really do appreciate the support. Also, thanks to Gramoik and Fredicini for the Twitch Prime subscriptions. We are standing by here for Jen Psaki starting any moment. We are monitoring CPAC. I will be live at 6 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. You know that song, with Donald Trump's CPAC speech, the keynote. And then that's going to do it. Yeah, people ask me all these favors. People call and they ask me, they're like, can you get me votes?
I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break.
And it's like, I just can't do it. I can't do it. I mean, it's just, I don't know if people would find this interesting, but we get a lot of emails and we have a whole system for filing emails. And if you regularly email, the emails are automatically filtered into a particular folder. And sometimes I'll just glance through. Sometimes we get emails from people asking me to promote their GoFundMes on the show, which we can't do. We get a lot of those requests. We really can't do that. I get emails from people. I mean, I don't even want to do it. We get a lot of requests that are not reasonable. I'm being told that power is out in Kyiv. Oh, wait a second. It does look like power is out all of a sudden. I mean, I know that it's 10 p.m. there. Yeah, it does look like power is out here. Okay. Oh man. This seems to be going in the wrong direction. Okay, we're going to keep monitoring that. Oh, look, here, power's on here. Where is this? I don't know exactly what's going on, but it's not great. It's not great. And we will keep monitoring. Yeah, I don't. Let me see if I can get any news reports on that. Power Kyiv. Power station operating as normal, says Reuters. Okay, Reuters says the power station is okay. Power station in the north of Kyiv is operating as normal after blasts were heard. Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said 5 blasts were heard in a close interval of 3 to 5 minutes. Emergency services underway. The bridges have been taken under protection and special control. The situation is threatening for Kyiv. The night close to the morning will be very difficult. Yeah, they seem to carry out the vast majority of the insane stuff between like 5 and 7 a.m. That's typically what we're seeing. I want to say thank you to Nick Yeager, who just signed up on my website with the coupon code OBAMNA. Nick's new member number 39 today. I really appreciate that. What will Trump say tomorrow about Russia, in your opinion? So I think if no one got to Trump between now and his CPAC speech, he would probably say a lot of positive things about Putin. My guess is a lot of people around Trump before he speaks tomorrow night are going to go to him and say, don't praise Putin. Blame Biden, but don't praise Putin. That's my guess. Whether Trump goes with that remains to be seen. That I don't know the answer to. That could really go either way. Okay. I want to call your attention to a Twitter account, Caucasus War Report, which I am being told has a lot of really good coverage of what's going on. Ramzan Kadyrov, head of the Chechen Republic, oh God, demands Zelensky apologize to Putin. Yeah, I don't think so, guys.
Хочу давать совет пока действующему президенту Зеленскому, пока он не стал.
Zelensky has nothing to apologize for. Captured NLAW anti-tank missile system in the hands of a Russian soldier.
Вот это так называемое оборонительное вооружение вооруженных сил Украины, которое поставлялось в западные страны. Но очевидно, либо плохо.
Okay. Ukrainian military vehicle burning in Kyiv City, as the owner of the video says the vehicles are being targeted by UCAVs, meaning Russia is actively using drone technology. Okay, a lot of very crazy stuff. That's the Twitter account Caucasus War Report, and you can check that out if you are interested. It does look like, I mean, listen, in the top right and bottom left, I see essentially no evidence of electricity. In the back here, it looks like there is some light. I don't know about you guys. I'm just calling it like I see it. There were rumors that power was out in Kyiv, but Reuters put out a report that a particular power station that had been targeted is still functioning. But here it's almost looking like it's just people with, okay, here's so it's a car. This down here may be flashlights. It's hard to tell. We don't know. We're receiving these reports, in real time. They may be turning lights off to hide where people are. Yes, that's a strategy that was used in the UK, in fact, in London during World War II. Famously so. Yeah. Where are you getting reports about power in Ukraine? We're seeing anecdotal tweets. saying it's off and that it's on. What are the current communications between Trump and Putin, and what has he told them? We are not aware of any communication between Trump and Putin at this time. If anybody has contradictory information on that, then by all means, you can let me know. But we're not aware of any such communication right now. Thanks to Chris Mose for the Twitch Prime subscription. You are number 40 today, and I really appreciate your support. Let's listen to a couple more voicemails here. Okay. Let's see what else we have.
Hey, David, it's little Pablo and Mesa. Listen, I was just wondering, a few months back, China made overt threats saying, in regards to suggesting possibly nuclear action. Then Putin did the same thing, yesterday, 2 days ago? So I'm wondering how you feel the implications are of that. And
yeah, it's not clear what Putin meant, and so I don't really want to speculate about that.
Hi, David.
Hi, yeah. Okay.
David, I have the perfect solution to this conflict between Russia and the Ukraine.
It's just Ukraine.
Why don't we deploy some people down there and teach both sides of the conflict critical race theory?
There you go.
Because then they'll feel guilty about the color of their skin, and they'll be so guilty that they'll just kind of withdraw and lay in bed all day and get depressed.
That's not bad, actually. That's not a bad idea.
And neither side will have the will to fight. We won't have to worry about Russian hostile
There's nothing as dispiriting for morale as being taught critical race theory. Yeah, that's fair.
aggression taking over parts of Europe by force. And
yeah, all right, I get it. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, just teach them critical race theory. Perfect. Okay. We're standing by for a press briefing from Jen Psaki. In the meantime, Ben Carson and Ben Ferguson are going to be having a conversation. I'm going to take a 5. Let's listen, and I'll be right back with everybody.
We're sitting right here. We followed directions well, didn't we? I think we need a little bit bigger round of applause for America's Real Doctor. Yeah. So hold on. We're going to try something. You know, they say that conservatives don't have technology, okay? Pay attention. Hey, conservative Siri, what is the name of this show?
The Ben's Show.
There we go. Who says we can't compete, Doc? How are you?
I'm doing extremely well. Running up and down the highway and the airways. I was in Colorado Springs this morning where it was 2 below zero. So we've
That's cold.
A marked
Welcome
change.
to Florida, right?
I don't know why everybody doesn't live in Florida.
Trust me, have you seen the number of U-Hauls coming in the state? They're working on it.
1,000 people a day.
So I was sitting there the other day watching the Super Bowl, and I knew you and I were going to do the Ben Show, and I thought to myself, I'm like, man, this halftime show, I know Ben Carson's getting down. Who was your favorite?
I always root for the winner.
There you go. I like it. I like it. All right, I want to get into everybody's been focused on Ukraine. Everybody's been dealing with foreign policy. There's another crisis in this country right now. And, every time I see Fauci speak, I think, I wish Ben Carson was that guy. I would love it. Wouldn't you love it if Ben Carson had that gig? So whoever runs next time, I have a feeling whoever that person is might have been or be in this building. You heard the crowd. I think you know what your next gig may be. I am genuinely shocked and concerned in the medical community. I grew up, as you know, in Memphis, Tennessee. Right. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is there. My wife's entire career was at St. Jude. And you see researchers get together and you see them get it right, you see them get it wrong, you see them share information, you see them collaborate. It's what you do as a doctor. Sure. Why is it now that we don't even see that? And not only that, we are trying to ruin doctors' careers who disagree or say something different on anything that the federal government Dr. Fauci or any of these dictators and tyrants in the medical community demand that they shut up and be quiet. Did you ever witness anything like this in your life? And did you ever think you would see it?
I must admit that even I am surprised at the level to which medicine has sunk because not following science, claiming to follow science but being completely unscientific. Science will actually ask questions about benefits versus risk. They will actually look at collateral effects of things. So when you take something like COVID, which, by the way, even though they don't want to let it go, it is going away because, you know, the good Lord has a way of taking care of things. So he says, since they don't seem to have the ability to understand what's going on and they just want to manipulate it, I'll just make this thing get weaker and weaker and more contagious. Pretty soon everybody will have it. It'll be endemic and it'll be gone and they won't be able to make it last until November.
until another election, right? Until another. See, we're making headlines, folks. Ben Carson just said COVID will be gone by November. Write it down. Let's talk about Fauci, and I don't want to, I'm not talking about the politics, okay? I'm talking about the medical side of this. The job of Dr. Fauci and anyone in that position should be non-political.
Should be.
If you did a poll on Fauci right now, I believe he's probably more polarized than even Donald Trump is at any point in his political career. Dr. Fauci in that position is not supposed to be political. How does a man like that stay there knowing that he's lost the country? And I say this from the standpoint of we're going to need medical advice on something else down the road. You've seen all the different, you know the history of disease.
Right.
You understand how important it is to have doctors that have a platform to speak in a non-political dictator type way. I'm worried that we're going to face something much greater than COVID one day, and no one's going to listen to the people in charge because they say, I shouldn't have listened to him last time.
And unfortunately, you've hit the nail on the head there. You know, there's a tremendous loss of confidence in our government and in our government medical facilities, the CDC, the NIH, because they've allowed themselves to be manipulated and controlled by other forces. Now, you take something like what happened with COVID, and they needed to get an emergency use authorization, an EUA. We have a silly rule in place that says you can't get the EUA if there are other effective treatments. And that's why they denigrated hydroxychloroquine, even though...
Oh, you be careful with that word now. That's like a four-letter word in this country.
Well, it's a very good four-letter word.
I'm just making sure our mics are still working. You said hydroxychloroquine. All right, we're still on
because
here.
if you go to Western Africa, go to places like Nigeria, there's almost no COVID throughout this whole thing. Why? Because they take hydroxychloroquine as an anti-malarial.
Uh-oh.
Now,
are they doing hydroxy disinfo? I'm just getting back.
Science, that would have piqued our interest, would have said, why is that the case? Why in some parts of India is there almost no COVID? Because they were taking ivermectin.
Wrong. These are all lies. This is all lies. First of all, in some parts of India, there was no COVID for a while because it just didn't get there yet. Then it completely exploded. Ivermectin has been studied in a randomized controlled trial, peer-reviewed. It does not work for COVID. All of this, we know, we have data. We know all of the stuff now. It's great to have the data now. By the way, what is Ben Ferguson wearing? Whoops.
And then you take children. You know, I've spent my whole career as a pediatric neurosurgeon and being concerned about what happens with our children.
Right.
They have, for a healthy child, the incidence of death from COVID is 0.025%.
Hallelujah.
That's approaching zero. But we have no idea what the long-term effect of these spike proteins are going to be on them. So we're trading almost no...
He's acting like we know the long-term effects of COVID, too. I mean, this guy is a doctor, and he's completely fallen for all of it.
I've got a 5-year-old. And I have, obviously, doing a radio show, a podcast every day. You take a lot of heat from people because I said I'm not giving my kids the vaccine because I don't understand why I would do so.
The crowd's cheering.
when you just talk to the facts. In fact, if you go to the CDC's own website, they say my child has a bigger chance of dying from the flu than they do from COVID.
Yeah. Well,
So am I a bad parent for being skeptical of this mandate of you must vaccinate your child or you're the worst?
By the way, Ben Ferguson is almost irrecognizable. I mean, listen, guys, the difference is he seems to have doubled in size. He is almost irrecognizable here.
People, for instance,
not ridiculing obesity or anything. I'm just I barely recognize the guy.
Children. I mean, where did these people come from? And it's
public school systems mostly.
Ooh, big attack on public schools there, huh? Everybody should just pay to send their kids to private school.
Wearing, particularly at a young age when you're trying to develop your sociological image of yourself. And a lot of that is because of positive feedback that you get by looking at people's facial expressions. We're going to end up with a whole generation of pathological people who don't know how to interact with each other.
Yeah, they're called Trumpists.
At this. And we already have a lot of errors going on. You look at the number of emergency room visits by children year over year, 2020 to 2021. Psychiatric emergencies have gone up 40% in the first 3 quarters of those years that have been looked at.
I want to take a.
Did you guys notice how it's almost impossible to fact check that because he's being so unclear. Psychiatric emergencies have gone up 20% in the first 3 quarters that have been looked at. What? That's not a complete empirical statement.
That the government is paying for your free vaccine. That's
he said
going to
40%. I thought he said 20.
Yeah.
Are we paranoid or are we brilliant, doctor?
I think the American people are some of the smartest people in the world. If you give them the facts, if you let them work with them. When I was running for president...
Should I be worried about Big Pharma?
Right. What about teaching them to be able to ascertain on their own what sort of assertions are trustworthy? Bro, no. That we don't want to do.
The vaccine, if you go get the vaccine. I'm not anti-vax, but don't tell me it's free.
No, it's...
when I paid for it through my tax dollars.
It's a wonderful thing for them to be told that as much of this as you can make, we're going to buy it. You know, so they've never had an opportunity like that before and are taking advantage of it. And I'm sorry to see that. Now, there are...
So let's see. They're for hydroxychloroquine, for ivermectin, against the government pre-purchasing vaccines, against vaccinating children. So far, this is what they've espoused.
Most of the people are logical. They're good people. But they have a tendency to stand in the corner with their head down, hoping that nobody calls them a nasty name.
Very low
we
energy.
Can't do that. It's time for people to speak up for what they believe in because we're trying to save our country.
We are, yeah.
We mentioned trust earlier, and you've dealt with pandemics, and this is the one that my generation's going to...
Has Ben Carson dealt with pandemics as a doctor? What is Ben Ferguson talking about? What does that mean? You've dealt... If you're interviewing a doctor and you say you've dealt with pandemics, it sounds like you're saying as a doctor you've dealt with pandemics, but no, he hasn't. He was a neurosurgeon. What is he talking about?
With pronunciation, I don't think you can put on paper how bad it is going to be for several different grades in this generation that lost years of education and years of basic learning. We're talking about kids that should be speaking. They're saying that can't see their parents' faces and their teachers' faces because of the mask. And it's affecting them. What data, from a doctor's standpoint that deals with kids and pediatrics, are you worried about?
He's a neurosurgeon. He doesn't know anything about that.
Imagine what it must be like to be a little kid. You have to wear a mask. You don't get to see facial expressions. Then you're told you may be harboring some deadly disease. You may not be sick, but you may give it to your grandmother and she may die. Well, grandmothers do get older and they do die. Now you're feeling guilty about that. If you're white, you're told that you're an oppressor and you're the cause of all minorities' problems. If you're a minority, you're told that you're a victim. All of this is happening while you're trying to develop your self-image.
Is Ben Carson, do you guys think he believes this? I don't think he could possibly believe this crap. I think he's just telling these stories to the crowd.
that deserves a standing ovation. I mean, that's the line of the day right there. We'll get taken out of context. Don't worry. Someone will write an article about it.
I didn't even hear the line.
You see what we're doing, and you brought it up, so I'm going there. Is it child abuse, what we're watching happen politically now to kids with this transgenderism and pick your own pronouns?
He's a neurosurgeon. He doesn't know anything about that.
Which is, I want to make sure I'm right, has never happened in the history of the world.
Not that I know of.
Okay. We'd really be breaking some news. Is it child abuse, in your opinion, to be raising kids in this world with hormone blockers and doing that to a child at a young age? Because I think it is.
Of course it's child abuse, but I don't want people to get off that easily by just calling it child abuse.
Oh.
We all have spheres of influence, and we have to stand up against this. We have to be aware of what's being taught to our children. In the preschool, they have these books about these worms. And they say these worms can be male or female. They get to choose, and they make these worms seem like really cool individuals. And what are they doing? They are planting seeds. And this is a terrible thing that they're doing.
I don't know whether Carson rates higher on evil or stupidity. I genuinely am unsure.
Our kindergartners, first, second, third graders are looking at, they have naked people in them doing all kinds of things that people shouldn't know about at that age. And they are affecting the character of our children at a time of innocence when you're supposed to be having fun and developing. And, you know, we talk about things like how our system is systemically racist and it's keeping people from achieving. I'll tell you what's keeping people from achieving.
Now, about the worms, there are worms that are like hermaphroditic and I think they can switch genders or something like that. Like, is it possible that the worm story is just scientifically accurate? Is that possible?
As we wrap the Ben Show, Conservative Surrey, do we have 30 more seconds? She didn't. All right, there, the audience decided.
For the Ben Show?
Yes, for the Ben Show. Do we have 30 more seconds, Conservative Surrey?
45 is go.
Yes!
Ooh.
Mask mandates, my last and final
Guys,
question.
the right's getting better at comedy, and it's making me nervous.
Like mandates, but I also know there's cause and effect.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on mask mandates in the country?
Well,
they're basically over.
Mandates. That's one of the reasons that we developed American Cornerstone Institute: faith, liberty, community, and life. People came to this country from all over the world because they didn't want people to be mandating what they had to do. They wanted to live the lives they wanted to live. This is a principle of this nation. We cannot let it go. We must not
Convalescent plasma.
If I get arrested on my flight home, I'm blaming Dr. Ben Carson. He said I didn't need to wear my mask. Give America's doctor a big round of applause. Maybe he'll be our Dr. Fauci one day. That concludes the Ben Show. God bless you guys.
Wow. What a genuinely stupid segment. I mean, this is bad even for CPAC. This is genuinely bad even for CPAC. Wow. Okay, let's see what's next. Yeah, Nigel Farage is speaking. There's a bunch of what really, really horrifying stuff coming up. We're standing by for Jen Psaki here. Oh God, it's Matt Schlapp. Thanks for correctly pronouncing Kyiv. Was watching some EU news and they were still using the old pronunciation Kiev. It drove me nuts. Love the show. Thank you. Do these two actually even believe what they're saying? Yeah, that was my question. I don't know. Let's see what's happening over in Ukraine. There were rumors of power outages, but it's not clear. Now, light seems to be on. I don't know what the upper left is. Someone preparing pasta. But, okay. Let's see how the stock market is looking like it's going to wrap up today. A big up day, as we might say in the business. Yeah, looking pretty strong there. We're going to be hearing any moment here from Jen Psaki. I want to say thank you to... Hold on. Who do I want to say? I guess no one. Yeah, no, I don't have anybody. I don't have anybody to thank. But welcome to all of our new Twitch viewers, as well as YouTube, Facebook. The schedule is that tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, I will be live for Donald Trump's CPAC speech. Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, I will be live for Joe Biden's State of the Union address. So we have a lot of very exciting things going on. It's true what Dr. Carson said. I'm trans because as a child, I was forced to read books about being a cool worm. Yeah, I know. It's really very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. Why am I using the old pronunciation of pasta? No, I say pasta, but I know some of our British friends say pasta. And I don't dislike it. I don't dislike it one bit. How do I sign up for Twitch Prime? Oh, no, not this again. Okay. If you have Amazon Prime, Amazon gives you a free Twitch Prime subscription. Amazon owns Twitch from the standpoint of ownership. And so if you have Amazon Prime, once a month you can get a free Twitch Prime subscription. And it's a beautiful thing, and it's really a shame more people don't do it. Herzafat just did it for the 8th month in a row and is number 41. I really appreciate that. Any coupon codes? Yes, but the coupon codes don't work on Twitch. Sometimes I get emails from people and they say, David, I did everything I could. I couldn't find where to enter the code Obama on Twitch. There are no coupon codes on Twitch. Twitch Prime is free. You don't need a code because it's free if you have Amazon Prime. The coupon codes are at joinpacman.com. How do I use my mouse? Oh, guys, I can't do it. I can't do it. No, I can't do that. The coupon code CPAC Trash works at joinpacman.com. These are all different systems. Different systems. Okay, let's listen to a little bit of this as we wait for Jen Psaki.
And if you think about it, luckily they work for me. My response was, we're going to help you. We're going to find a way to help you. We're not going to let you suffer like this.
Senator, we've received a lot of phone calls at our house. Obviously, these people were colleagues with Mercy at the White House or at the presidential campaign. And some of these people are awfully junior staffers to President Trump or to others. And they know nothing about any illegal activity. They had no involvement in any illegal activity. They love their country. They want to serve their country. Some of these people are saying, we can't even get a lawyer. Think about this. And I'm sure we have people that know the legal profession well. They can't even get a lawyer to represent them in America because these law firms have gone so woke and left-wing that the committee that runs...
Give me a break, dude. Here's an interesting super chat. Google the pronunciation of obfuscate. All right. Is it different than how I'm saying it? Let's see. The pronunciation. Obfuscate. Oh, it's obfuscate, not obfuscate. Obfuscate. That does not sound natural to me. That doesn't sound at all natural to me. Obfuscate. Obfuscate. I say obfuscate. I think I'm going to keep doing it. Language is quite pliable. I want to say thank you to a bunch of people supporting via Twitch Prime. Those people are Angry Guido, Bezosp, Zachatak, Brookie, Luis, Miller Gamey, and Obi-Sean Kenobi. 7 people putting us at 48. I really appreciate that very much. David, first time, long time, thank you for the love streams. When will we see your beautiful hairy chest and manly Argentinian arms? What have you, and things of this nature. We're looking into that very strongly. We're looking into that very strongly. I don't have an answer right now, but it is something we are considering.
Long list of recommendations to improve security at the Capitol. The Capitol Police have been implementing that for over a year now. That's what you would suspect, what you would expect a commission to do. The Inspector General of the Capitol has been involved in that. That's a responsible approach to this. But Nancy Pelosi didn't get what she wanted out of it, which is the political fodder.
Imagine caring what Haggerty believes. Larry says, CPAC seems as crazy as ever, but at least the stage wasn't the shape of a hate symbol this year. Much love from New York City. I also pronounce it obfuscate rather than obfuscate. Yeah. I am looking at getting a hot tub installed right in the studio so we could do a hot tub stream. Certainly open to that. Let me see what else I've got for you guys. Oh, a couple other super chats. Yeah. Voicemails, rather. Let's see if I have anything here.
Hi, David. I was just wondering if there are any words or phrases that in your day-to-day you start supplementing in your head. Like, for me, if anybody ever says origins, my brain is like oranges.
Yeah.
You know, because of like everything that the whole.
Yeah.
Take a look at the oranges of the investigation.
Anytime my girlfriend says, hey, can you look at something with me later? I say, let's look at it very strongly. And she just doesn't care. It doesn't matter. But I laugh to myself. Let's see what else we have here.
Hi, David. I was watching a little bit of Fox News earlier, and they kept talking about the energy situation and the fact that Russia controls a lot of the gas and oil supply. Do you think Joe Biden's doing the right thing by not trying to control that and trying to, like Fox News is saying, that we should open up the pipeline and start producing ourselves? What's your thoughts on that? Thanks, bye.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of don't really care what Fox News thinks, but obviously there are realities here about the sources of energy and the fact that there are pipelines that Russia controls that go through Ukraine. It's a very complicated issue. I wouldn't pay particularly close attention to what Fox News says about it.
So, Benjamin was talking about navel-gazing rich people, and it's like a lot of those people are like my friends and allies and stuff like that, you know, like they're making them suicidal with this whole like, you know, oh, the abortion is a baby, and then like forcing people to have sex with them.
Yeah. Let's see what else we have here.
Yeah, I'm calling about the U.S. or Russia threatens U.S. assets in response to sanctions. From a military guy, I don't think anybody should be losing any sleep over that. Any threats that he's going to do or actually try and take.
Man, barely audible. Truly barely audible. What else do we have here? A lot of different things happening. Anything on Russia?
Hey, David. Sherry Ellison, brand new member.
Welcome.
I'm watching or trying to watch this CPAC coverage. I have to tell you that if their way of organizing this conference is any indication of whom they are, why in God's green earth should we trust them with anything? They can't even get their own act together for their own show. I mean, am I right or am I wrong?
You are right, Sherry. Beautifully said. I couldn't possibly say it better myself. The background noise is just the press room. We're just trying to keep an eye on when that's starting. Jesse says, good day, sir. Circling back, on January 7th, you said you learned how to say Raleigh when growing up in Belgium. Yeah, it's a joke. It was just a joke, guys. Why on earth would I? So Raleigh or Raleigh, I don't even know how to say it, is a city in North Carolina. Whoa, what's going on? So it was just a joke. Obviously, growing up in Belgium would not help me know how to say that, and I apologize. It was my dry humor, and nobody got it. Nobody got it, and I apologize for that. Let me say thank you to Yakko Yak's podcast, RDNYS, Bite the Asp, and Pink and Blonde, 4 people who just became Twitch Prime subscribers. I really appreciate that, guys. Really, very, very much. I could not possibly appreciate it more. I never understand anything Whitney says, but I'm amazed at how many things she finds to call you about. I know. Let's just see. Let's find one other topic that Whitney called about, just to see. Just to see what else is on Whitney's mind. Okay, here's one.
So I might have some really good advice as far as being Jewish, and I don't know whether it's good or not, so I'm going to put it out there. And then if it's bad, then...
Advice for Jews or advice to become Jewish? I don't really know which she means.
Just ignore it. But, so what I was thinking is that I took a look at, like, the philosophy of being Jewish, and I was thinking that not going for people who are, like, really good at acting or, necessarily get good grades or better looking than everybody. I think, like, the perfect Jewish person would be somebody who's, like, extremely good at improv.
Yes, the Jewish tradition of improvisational comedy. Very interesting insights here from Whitney. Let's see what else we've got here. It's wild out there. I want everybody to be very, very careful, obviously, because it's really something else.
Hey, David. I have to say, my favorite part of all the CPAC thing that we watched was actually while you were gone. Dr. Carson was talking about how everything has gone away from being scientific. How, like, they claim it's science, but the whole thing about science is an ask question. And then he said, God has a way of fixing things, because that is the most scientific thing I've ever heard.
Oh, my God. Did he really say that? That's insane. That's bonkers. Chandler says a hot tub for the studio must be because you make money from a bonus show.
Oh, the bonus show where you want to make money, but everybody else that makes money to fund themselves is bad.
Right. David, sir, why should anyone take you seriously? You're not a knight at the round table. You are pro-Biden mango inflation. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I am not a knight at the round table.
He's not a knight at the round table.
Right. David, sir, I think I speak for everyone when I say your audience would greatly appreciate a hot tub steam from the standpoint of enjoyment. David, sir, what is the philosophy of being Jewish? Whitney has confused me. I don't know what she was talking about, guys. Yeah, I'm sorry. I genuinely don't know what that was about. It was very odd. Very, very odd. As we continue to stand by for White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki. Let's see if we have any updates from Ukraine.
Of Kyiv, and we are not going anywhere. There was a very important message as well, because there were rumors today, during the day, that Zelensky might not be in Kyiv, and he just needed to do that also to say that was not true and to confirm that he is, and he's not going to go anywhere, and to say how defiant and how resistant the people are, and he's there to support them.
And Sasha, what is the Ukrainian media then saying about this current situation and, of course, the foreign response?
All right, the press briefing is starting. And CPAC is back with just a random guy. Okay, so we're going to stay here. Let's see what's going on, see if there's any further announcements about anything. I assume that there will be. It does appear as though Russia has been pushing further into Ukraine. At this point in time, we hope to get an update. I want to say thanks to Under the Screen for the Twitch Prime subscription. You're number 53 today. Very, very much appreciate that. See what else we've got. There was a 2-minute warning, so it should be starting any second. We'll be back tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern, for Trump's CPAC speech. That's correct. Should be horrifying. Should be absolutely horrifying. You never know what Trump's going to say every time he speaks.
People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times.
You're going to Wilmington.
Okay, I think we'll mute here.
Wilmington.
Someone's going to Wilmington in the morning. That's interesting. Guests next week? Yeah, let me see who we've got lined up. Next week we've got... Oh, Heath Drusen on actually being with a bunch of these kind of like militia types. He was fully integrated. Tom Hartman will be with us soon. Oh, guys, we got Thomas Homer Dixon. Thomas Homer Dixon's the Canadian a political scientist who said the U.S. could be a dictatorship by 2030. We got him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. And he's going to be on with us soon.
This peanuts. I've never been. I was surprised to.
Trust me, there have been a lot worse.
Thanks to Dapu the Toothic. I don't even know how to pronounce that, but I appreciate the Twitch Prime subscription. Thank you. Very, very much appreciative of that. Let's see if we can squeeze in one more voicemail before Jen Psaki. Let's see.
Hi, David. I want to talk about the timing of this attack by Russia on Ukraine. So one of the things you would hear about Trump more and more, especially for his first impeachment, is what is now called Russiagate. And I think it's been pushed more towards the kind of fringe left. I think the general kind of sense-making in the United States is that Russiagate was more made out to be more than it actually was.
No, Russiagate is the view that there were people saying Trump will be caught dead to rights on video colluding with Putin. And of course, no one was actually saying that.
All right. I just have one item for all of you.
No one's serious.
Ahead, and I know there are a few topics to discuss today during our time together. On Monday, the president will host a celebration to mark Black History Month. He will be joined by the Vice President, Black members of the historically diverse cabinet, members of the Congressional Black Caucus, state and local elected officials, civil rights leaders, and Divine Nine leadership. On Tuesday, as you are all tracking, the president will deliver his first State of the Union address. We will have more of his address to preview in the coming days. On Wednesday, the president and the First Lady will travel to Superior, Wisconsin to discuss how the bipartisan infrastructure law delivers for the American people by rebuilding roads and bridges and creating good-paying union jobs. And on Thursday, the president will hold a cabinet meeting. With that, Steve, why don't you kick us off?
The EU earlier today agreed to hold to place sanctions and asset freezes on Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Okay, let's switch to a feed where we can see the reporters.
Sanctions and asset freezes on Russian President Vladimir Putin and the Russian Foreign Minister. Is the United States going to follow suit?
Following a telephone conversation President Biden held with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, and in alignment with the decision by our European allies, the United States will join them in sanctioning President Putin and Foreign Minister Lavrov and members of the Russian National Security Team. I expect we'll have more specific details out later this afternoon.
You'd love to see it.
Thanks. Additionally, could you detail the level of support the United States government is currently providing operationally to the Ukrainian military and intelligence services as they try to fend off the Russian invasion? Is the U.S. continuing to send weaponry into Ukraine? Is it providing intelligence on Russian movements and tactical communications and the like?
Well, without getting into too many specific details that are sensitive for a range of reasons, we are continuing to deliver on the security assistance package that was announced earlier last fall. All of that has not been delivered yet. We're continuing to provide that assistance. Obviously, we remain in very close touch, of course, with President Zelensky. I think you may have just seen the readout that we just put out that included the president spoke with him earlier today again, and we are in very close touch from our national security team with members of his team as well, and we continue to consider a range of options to provide additional assistance.
Right.
President Zelensky last night said he was target number one of the Russian military. Does the United States have a warning to Russia in the event that they were to target the Ukrainian president or attempt to capture him or to physically harm him?
Do we have a warning to them?
Yes,
Well,
specifically regarding a head of state.
Well, let me first say that we have been warning for months for weeks, if not months, that Kyiv falling, that attempts to overturn the leadership of Ukraine is very much in the aspirations of President Putin. So their attempts to do exactly that and their continued progress in moving toward Kyiv and moving toward Ukrainian leadership is aligned with what we have predicted. Obviously, going after the head of state would be a significant, horrific act by Russian leadership, but we remain in contact, as you all have seen from the readout we provided with President Zelensky. He's made clear that he's still in Ukraine, proudly and courageously standing up in the face of the Russian attack, and we are certainly continue to be concerned about the ongoing Russian assault on the country.
Topic, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention right now is announcing new federal mask guidelines that, including under them, 70% or so of Americans right now live in areas where they are no longer recommended to wear masks indoors in public settings. Right. Is that guidance that will be followed here in the White House, as Washington, D.C. is now not an area recommended anymore for wearing masks indoors?
Sure. Well, we are evaluating our protocols. Obviously, this guidance is just going out now as we speak. I believe Dr. Walensky continues to provide a briefing call with some of your colleagues right now. D.C. currently has a mask mandate until March 1st. We have always followed the most stringent guidelines. That has typically been the CDC, so we will plan to follow that. And in the meantime, we are evaluating our protocols here at the White House. Go ahead.
On President Zelensky, in President Biden's phone call with him, did it come up whether President Biden bring up whether President Zelensky he thinks he should leave the country or not?
That is not. I don't have any additional details to provide. President Zelensky continues to serve as president of Ukraine. He continues to do that courageously in the face of attacks from Russian military. This was a call for the president to reiterate our strong support for him, for the Ukrainian people, and to reiterate and condemn the actions of the Russians.
And on sanctioning Putin and Lavrov, yesterday President Biden had said that was on the table. What changed between yesterday and today?
Well, it has been under consideration and on the table for some time, as you know, and as I just conveyed, the president's strong view and strong principle from the beginning of this conflict, and even before, I should say, has been to take actions and steps in alignment with our European partners, and this is certainly evidence of that.
And just finally on that one, what does sanctioning Putin himself do in the opinion of this administration? A lot of analysts have said that this is more of a symbolic move than anything.
Well, without getting into any specific details, I know you're not exactly asking me this, but sort of about financial assets, et cetera. I will leave that to others to speak to. Certainly the united, the step that we are doing in alignment and in coordination with the Europeans just sends a clear message about the strength of the opposition to the actions by President Putin and the direction in his leadership of the Russian military. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, and continuing the questions on sanctions.
Yep.
Today we saw that the Italian government and the German government both said very clearly that they would not veto a move to remove Russia from the SWIFT transaction system. Can you say a word about how quickly you think something like that would happen, and whether you believe that would be another productive tool and perhaps another moment, symbolic or rather an important measure?
Sure. Well, again, the president's principle is taking steps in alignment. We are stronger together, especially as we stand in the face of the Russian military's actions and their invasion of Ukraine. As it relates to SWIFT, we've never taken that off the table, of course, and I'm certainly not taking it off the table today, so certainly there'll be ongoing discussions about that. As you know, SWIFT is a messaging service that connects 11,000 banks, and many would argue that there are ways that the Russian leadership could get around that over the course of time, but it certainly remains an option on the table. In terms of the timeline, I don't have anything to predict for you on that.
We were also reported today that China has actually increased its reserves as opposed to releasing reserves, which could help perhaps with the energy price increases that we're seeing. Have you what do you think of that move? And then also, has there been any further communication? Does President Biden intend to talk to President Xi, or can you say a word about what you're doing in terms of trying to convince the Chinese to be supportive?
Well, I would note that also today, the IEA had an informal meeting where they discussed options they could take over the coming days and weeks to help address any volatility in the global markets and the heightening of price volatility. And certainly that meeting today was a chance to consult and continue coordination with partners on global energy supply and security. There's also continuing conversations that we have had from here with partners over the past day. Secretary Granholm spoke with French, German, EU, and UK counterparts yesterday, and we'll continue those conversations. As it relates to China, I would say that the president's view, of course, is that now is the time for leaders of the world to not just speak out clearly against President Putin's flagrant aggression and to stand with the people of Ukraine, but this is not a moment for equivocation or hiding or waiting to see what happens next. It is already clear what's happening, and as a part of that, it's also important to be a part of the effort to mitigate and minimize the impact on global markets and global oil markets. And so I don't have any additional conversations to read out for you, but I would say certainly we all want to be part of the solution here and stand up in the face of aggression to help address the problems.
Are you saying that China is, in fact, equivocating?
All I'm saying is that every country should think about what side of history they want to be on here, and they have the ability to do that. Go ahead.
When did President Biden make the final decision to sanction President Putin?
It was made, it's been on the table for some time, but through coordination and discussion with our European partners over the last day or so.
So he decided in the last 24 hours that he was going to do that?
Again, it's been on the table for some time. His priority and his focus has been on taking steps in coordination, and obviously that decision was made over the course of the last 24 hours and in partnership with our European counterparts.
Does it include a travel ban by chance?
I believe that would be a part of the U.S. Component, yes.
So President Putin would be banned from traveling here?
There's more details of it that, again, will be out later today. There are very limited examples of this being done, as you all know, but that is a standard part. But again, there'll be more details we will have available later today.
Another question on travel. The UK is banning civilian Russian aircraft from its airspace, saying that no aircraft on a service owned, operated, or chartered by a person connected with Russia shall fly in their airspace. Is the United States planning to do the same?
I'm not aware of that being in the plans, but I don't have anything to preview for you.
Okay, and another question. We've seen these predictions from the Defense Department, from the State Department about Kyiv falling to Russia. They've made clear that they believe that is in Putin's sights and that he wants to overthrow the government there. If that happens, what does the U.S. do? What is the response and the role that the United States takes after something like that happens?
Well, I would just reiterate, as we've been warning for months, that Kyiv falling is a real possibility, and we've continued to see Russia's progression. Even as we've seen resistance on the ground, Russia's military continues to advance toward Kyiv. So there is that real possibility. I'm just not going to get into, at this point, hypotheticals of what that will look like or what our response would be.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Jen.
I want to follow up on the Putin sanctions again.
Sure.
Based on what you've said so far. So was this decision to coordinate with allies meant to show unity, meant to show that Putin is a pariah, or do you think it will actually have an impact on Putin in practice, given the uncertainty about the extent and location of his wealth?
Sure, I understand what you're asking. I'm just not going to get into specifics about his financial assets from here.
Wow.
Again, I think what is important and what we are hoping the world takes away from this is the unity through which the United States, President Biden, is working with our European partners and allies.
Without getting into details, can you even say if this will or will not impact him, other than showing that he's, an outlier?
Again, I'm not going to get into his personal financial assets. That's typically not something we would do from here. But I would note again that the steps that were taken yesterday and announced yesterday, sanctioning the 10 of the largest financial institutions in Russia, accounting for a huge percentage of their banking capacity, of their financial system capacity, I should say, and even the anticipation.
What we'll do, ask, is President Biden ready to personally go into in to rescue Zelensky? And if not, why not?
Skyrocketing inflation in Russia, and we also have taken steps to sanction oligarchs around President Putin, people who have benefited from corruption and cronyism in the system, and even their family members to prevent them from having the capacity to move around their assets.
And on the Supreme Court today, the day, it was exactly 2 years ago today that the president made a pledge that he would nominate a black woman to the Supreme Court. Did he factor the timing of that into his decision to announce it today?
No.
What?
And then can you share any details about the process now that it's over?
Finally, we're free.
Like, you know, how long the interview or interviews were, what they talked about, what led the president to choose Judge Jackson over the other candidates?
Sure. Well, I will share with you the details that we're comfortable sharing at this point in time. And obviously, Judge Jackson will be filling out a range of questionnaires. She will be testifying. She will be considered by the full Senate, and she will be asked a range of questions there.
Indeed.
The president interviewed Judge Jackson, Judge Childs, and Judge Kruger on Monday, February 14th in person. He made his final decision and called Judge Jackson last evening.
This is one of the prototypical questions where everyone's just playing their role. Like, listen, what do you think he did? He got recommendations. He evaluated the individuals in terms of whether they were likely to sort of have like skeletons in their closet that could be a problem. A review was done of their credentials. Some people who know them were interviewed. Biden spoke to them, and he got the opinions of some of the people in the Senate that he trusts. Like, you know what? It's one of those things where like it's almost like it has to be asked, it has to be answered. Everybody knows the answer. All the normal stuff was done.
Childs to let them know that he had chosen Judge Jackson?
I don't have any other details on that, but I can tell you that he called Judge Jackson to offer her to tell her he was going to nominate her last evening. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jen. The State Department just said about the U.S. and Russia that there are still some areas in which the fulfillment of our national security priorities and imperatives require us to engage and coexist. How is it that we are still engaging and coexisting with the Russians?
Well, Peter, I would say diplomacy around the world requires us to engage with countries even where we have strong disagreements, strong opposition, strong condemnation. We have been very outspoken and taken actions against China's human rights abuses, but we have worked with them in other capacities. We are working, Russia as a part of the P5+1, as we're working and making progress on an Iran nuclear deal. There's no question that achievement of that would make the world safer. So it is our responsibility and diplomacy means engaging even with countries where you have strong disagreement and strong opposition.
And just so that we can understand then the approach, that means that you guys will sit here and sanction Vladimir Putin and then send diplomats to go sit on the same side of the table with the Russians to hash out the Iran deal. Is that what's happening?
That's right, Peter, but I don't know why you sound so skeptical. What our job here in the United States and from any government is to take steps that are in the interest of the American people and the United States of America. And part of that would certainly be reducing Iran's capacity and ability to have a nuclear weapon. I think there's no question about that. Russia is a part of the P5+1.
Okay, there's a report in the New York Times that you guys kept asking China to help you stop Russia from invading Ukraine, and they didn't. So what have you guys done throughout this slow-moving Russia crisis that has worked?
In what capacity?
Well, the president talked to Putin. He talked to the G7. He threatened sanctions. He put sanctions in place. Now he says the sanctions are...
Guys, like, what have you guys done?
You guys think the people in Ukraine have about a month?
Well, Peter, let me just take a step back and explain to everyone how diplomacy works and how our approach from the United States has worked. What the president has done is he has built a global coalition to stand up in the face of President Putin and President Putin's aggression and invasion of Ukraine. What he has done is he has rallied the world, our European partners, even at cost to them in some capacities.
Also, it's like they spent 4 years saying we should be friends with Putin, and now they're like, why didn't Biden do enough sooner? And it's only up to the U.S. whether Russia invades.
It is President Putin's choice to go to war and invade Ukraine. That is what he has done. It is our choice and our responsibility and the role of the president of the United States to rally opposition and make sure they feel significant pain from that choice. That's exactly what we have done.
And I understand that you're saying that these sanctions will have an impact on Russia, but what good does that do these people in Ukraine who are seeing the news and these U.S. intel assessments that Kiev is going to fall any day?
Well, Peter, first of all, we are the largest provider of humanitarian assistance, of security assistance in the world to the Ukrainian government, which still stands, and the biggest supporter of the Ukrainian people, and we will continue to be. And we are leading this global effort to stand up against the aggression of President Putin. And so the president is doing nearly everything in his power to lead the world and stand up against the actions of President Putin. What he will not do is send U.S. troops to fight in Ukraine, because he is not going to put the American public, the American people, or the United States in a position of fighting a war with Russia. Go ahead.
If I can ask you about, we've been watching a lot of the pictures play out from overseas. We've seen anti-war protesters rounded up and arrested in Moscow and elsewhere throughout Russia. We've seen awful pictures coming from throughout Ukraine, including one today that was dramatic of a Russian tank literally rolling over a Ukrainian civilian vehicle. Can you just give us a sense, is the president watching this happen, his reaction to this, his message to those anti-war protesters?
Well, I mean, it's horrific to watch. It's heart-wrenching to watch. And we've all seen the images. The president, the vice president, members of our national security team, and it almost doesn't matter how much you've been through, how many conflicts you've watched over time, and he has unfortunately watched many in a variety of national security roles, to feel heartbroken by what you're seeing happen in Ukraine, in a sovereign country that is having its right to exist threatened by Russia, the aggressor in this case. I would say our message to the Ukrainian people continues to be that we stand with you, we support you, we are going to do everything, humanitarian assistance, economic assistance, continue to provide security assistance, and rally the world to condemn the actions of President Putin.
And to the anti-war protesters in Russia?
Well, first, I think we would say that we are amazed by your courage, your remarkable courage in standing up against what President Putin is doing. It is not easy to protest in many scenarios, but it's certainly not easy to protest against the actions of an autocratic leader, and that's exactly what these protesters are doing.
There's a large room. I'll ask only one last question, which is, as it relates to the Supreme Court, following up on the questions here. The president wanted it to be a bipartisan process, has met with many Republicans, Chuck Grassley, the top Republican on the Senate Judiciary Committee. 3 Republicans helped confirm Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson in the spring of last year. One of them, Lindsey Graham, today said, among other things, that this selection means the radical left has won President Biden over yet again. The White House's response.
Well, I think what's most important for everybody to know and understand is more about Judge Jackson's record. And what was very compelling and to go back to Weij's question, sorry I didn't answer this part, what was compelling to the president. I talked to him about this morning, and you heard him lay this out in great detail in his remarks. Judge Jackson is someone who very much is in the mold of Justice Breyer, having even clerked for him. She talked about that during his remarks. When she was confirmed as a district judge in 2013, Judge Breyer praised her for being a wise decision and swore her in. And even parts of their biography overlap, time on the Sentencing Commission, time as a federal judge. But it's also how she has approached her role as a judge that was very compelling to the president. She's issued opinions without regard to partisan considerations. She's ruled in favor of Republicans and Democrats. She's ruled for and against the government, regardless of whether the government is led by a Democratic president or a Republican president. Litigants, lawyers, and judges across the ideological spectrum appreciate her ability to be an impartial adjudicator, and that's exactly what you want as a judge. She's even clerked for 3 different federal judges.
Folks, I apologize for the interruption. I'm being notified that right now the attacks in Kyiv are ramping up and that air raid sirens are going off. Let's listen. That sounds just like the 11 p.m. church bells. Okay, we're going to continue monitoring, but there are reports that attacks are starting now. Bombings are starting now. We will watch it.
Processing
for Ukrainians that do want to come to the U.S. as they did with Afghans that wanted to come to the U.S.?
Well, it's a slightly different circumstance, I will say, because our assessment is that the majority of refugees will want to go to neighboring countries in Europe, many of which have already conveyed publicly that they will accept.
Okay, I guess from this feed, these are the sirens from a moment ago. Okay. Okay, that was 2 minutes ago, so we're going to watch that very closely.
In countries who are willing to welcome these refugees, have our support in that effort. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. I know the White House has said the U.S. won't be sending troops into Ukraine to rescue Americans who are still there. So what is the U.S. doing about Americans who are still left in Ukraine as the situation gets more dire?
Well, I will first start by saying that we have been warning for months now about the dire circumstances developing in Ukraine and conveying very directly to American citizens they should leave. We have also been in touch from the State Department with every American we can reach. I would point you to them for more specifics on that. And we continue to have the capacity to, help them in a range of ways, even as we don't have a diplomatic presence in Ukraine. We don't have people in the country right now, obviously, but they are in neighboring countries. I would really point you to the State Department for any more specifics.
The president is obviously now going to be in Delaware this weekend. Can you share what he will be doing there? Will he be traveling with members of his national security team? Will he be receiving regular updates on Ukraine?
Sure. He will have a meeting with members of his national security team tomorrow in Delaware. I will note that while every president can work from anywhere they are, because that is how presidencies are equipped, he is traveling to Delaware for the memorial service of a family member, and he will be, that is why he's traveling there this weekend. Go ahead.
Just to follow up on that question, does the president have special secure facilities in Wilmington? We know that obviously at Camp David, that is something available. Given the national security crisis, is that something that is also available?
The president has the capacity to make a secure call from anywhere he is, yes.
Okay. And then on the Supreme Court, how important is it to the president that Judge Jackson receives bipartisan support if she is confirmed, and how much political capital and time and energy is he personally going to put in to getting Republican support for her nomination?
Well, I think, Tyler, let me flip this around a little bit for you and just say the president's view is that when you look at somebody like Judge Jackson, who is extraordinarily qualified, has impeccable credentials. She has been lauded by former Speaker of the House Paul Ryan, who said on her behalf when she was put forward last year, I know she's clearly qualified, but it bears repeating just how qualified she is. Our politics may differ, but my praise for Ketanji's intellect, for her character, for her intellect is unequivocal. That she is somebody who has, and I would also note that former D.C. District Judge Thomas Griffith, appointed by President George W. Bush, publicly supported her D.C. court nomination, and she received a bipartisan letter of support from individuals who co-clerked along Judge Jackson. So I think the bar here should not be what is the president going to do. Of course he's going to engage with Democrats and Republicans. You've seen him operate in that way to date. It is, what are Republicans going to do?
Yeah, that's a perfect answer. It's like, listen, we would much prefer that Republicans recognize her qualifications and not obstruct for political reasons. That being said, this is an eminently qualified candidate. And the important thing is that since she's qualified, she end up on the court because she's my choice, whether Republicans want to accept that or not.
The union, how much is that speech being changed by the Russia-Ukraine crisis? Can you just give us a little bit of a preview about what we may hear from the president on Tuesday?
I certainly understand the question, but I can't give you a preview of a speech 4 days from now quite yet about and how it will address a developing conflict. Go ahead.
Yeah, President Biden stated from the outset, and you've reiterated today, that he won't send U.S. troops to Ukraine to fight Russians. Given the high stakes, President Biden yesterday said Russia has aspirations beyond Ukraine. Why isn't this a fight worth sending U.S. troops for? Why has the president assessed that shouldn't be an option?
Well, I would say first it's important to note that we have certainly made clear, not just by words, but by actions, that we are going to continue to support and even plus up our support for NATO defense operations. And there was an announcement yesterday of an increase of additional 7,000 troops. And obviously there was a significant announcement made today by NATO. We will firmly stand behind our Article 5 obligations. But I would say, as it relates to sending U.S. troops into Ukraine, the role of the President of the United States, any president, is to make an assessment about what is in the interests of the United States, our national security interests, the American people, and certainly weigh very heavily how we're leading the global community. But it is not in our interest to be in a war with Russia. And so, no, we are not sending U.S. troops to Ukraine.
But by stating up front that this is not an option, didn't President Biden take away what could have been a threat to deter Putin from invading and to further push into Ukraine?
Can you imagine the chaos if Biden was like, no, boots on the ground are a possibility? Imagine what would be going on right now.
Intentions are and what his intentions are not. And that is his first priority as president.
And finally, what was the White House's reaction to President Zelensky's today in a video address saying that Ukraine has, quote, been left alone to defend itself against Russia?
Well, as you know, the president spoke with President Zelensky and made clear to him during that conversation that he commended his brave leadership, his brave actions, the brave actions of the Ukrainian people who are fighting to defend their country. He also conveyed our ongoing economic, humanitarian, and security support that we will continue to provide. So that is hardly standing on the sidelines. We are providing, again, the largest provider of security, economic, humanitarian assistance of any country in the world, and we will continue to support President Zelensky and the Ukrainian people.
So the White House doesn't think he's been left alone?
I think I'll leave it at that. Go ahead.
Thanks a lot, Jen. Does the administration have any plans to offer TPS to Ukrainians who are in the United States or who might end up coming to the United States? Does it support the idea?
Well, it's a process that would be overseen by the interagency, go through an interagency process led by the Department of Homeland Security. I know there are many advocates for that, but I don't have an update on the process or if it will happen.
What plans does the administration, in regard to refugees,
Sure.
What plans does the administration have to take in, for the United States, to take in some refugees in the United States? Have there been any planning discussions, perhaps with refugee groups, to prepare this? Do you have an anticipated number of how many refugees may come to the United States?
I don't have an unanticipated number to project. What I will convey to you is that we are always in constant contact with the refugee organizations who do incredible work around the world. But I would also reiterate that what we've seen happen over the last couple of days is countries like Poland, Germany, and others in Europe make clear that they are opening their arms to welcome refugees from Ukraine. Those are neighboring countries, so we do anticipate the vast majority will want to go to countries in Europe.
But you do anticipate that some would come to the United States?
We are open to that, yes.
And if I could ask one more. Senator Coons floated the idea of a $10 billion emergency supplemental package. Does the administration support that proposal?
We are having ongoing conversations with Congress about additional assistance to Ukraine. Our OMB leadership is having those conversations, and so I will leave it to them to put out any updated specific number from our end, but those are underway. Go ahead.
Why doesn't President Biden want to talk to Vladimir Putin right now?
Because he's invading a sovereign country.
Isn't he going to be potentially invading that for years on end?
Well, I would say that a moment where a leader is beginning and in the middle of invading a sovereign country is not the moment where diplomacy feels appropriate. It does not mean we have ruled out diplomacy forever. Obviously, the president remains open to engaging at a leader-to-leader level, but this is not the moment.
Anything Biden does is wrong, and anything Biden doesn't do is wrong.
With, sanctions on everything. It doesn't seem, are you guys waiting for Kiev to fall or
sanctions on everything? How do you mean?
Like sanctions on all Russian transactions and oil and gas, or do you think that Americans are not willing to?
That doesn't know what he's asking.
A hit at the gas pump?
Well, I would say there's a couple of principles through which the president has approached sanctions. One is maximizing the impact on Russian leadership. And
so are you guys like sanctions on everything is cool, or like what?
so that there will be a particular squeeze. We've obviously taken steps already that have gone far and above what has ever been done in the past. If you look at just the 10 financial institutions that we sanctioned, they hold a huge percentage they're about 80% of the Russian banking sector. That is a significant step that was announced yesterday. The export controls step that was announced yesterday means that they won't have the ability to get access to the technology and semiconductors and AI that President Putin desperately wants to continue to innovate his economy moving forward. There's also, of course, European countries are also looking at some of their reliance on Russia, whether it's for energy or other purposes, and they're making their own decisions about diversifying. And as I noted a little bit earlier, the ruble remains about 10% weaker year to date and the worst performing emerging market currency in the world. So what should be clear here is that there are already huge impacts. There is already an enormous squeeze on the Russian financial system and economy. What the president is also focused on as a principle is taking steps and making sure we are minimizing the impact on the American people, on the global economic system, and we of course weigh that as we have a responsibility to do. And we want to, first and foremost, I should have said this first, take these steps united with our partners and allies in Europe.
Does the administration have any message to American companies that do business in Russia with entities that are not necessarily on the sanction list? Would you like to see U.S. citizens not buy Russian products? Would you like to see U.S.-based CEOs not look for business in Russia?
We're not trying to hurt the people of Russia or the Russian people. We're trying to squeeze the financial system and sector to make sure there are significant consequences for the actions of the president. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. So understanding there's no plans for Presidents Biden and Putin to speak, is there any line of communication between the White House and the Kremlin right now?
I don't have additional details on that at this point in time. Obviously, our national security team has a range of means of communicating with the Russians.
And should we take what you said earlier in your answer to mean that the president won't speak with Putin unless Putin de-escalates or withdraws?
Well, again, it's not the appropriate moment right now. I'm not going to give you a forever or never because that's not how he feels. But they are actively invading Ukraine. They are moving on the capital.
Let me mention something that I see people in the chat talking about, which I was not going to bring up. There's a hypothesis, it's speculation, that the reason Putin is doing this is that Putin is very, very sick, possibly terminally ill. And the things that are often floated are Parkinson's or prostate cancer. And a bunch of doctors have looked at video of Putin and have said that there's really no particular evidence that that's what's going on. So it's a completely speculative thing. And the idea would be Putin's been really COVID cautious. There's all these videos of him where the tables are like 40 feet long, where he's 40 feet away from the person he's meeting with, and he doesn't look good. It looks like he might have filmed both of the videos this week at the same time because he was wearing the same suit in the same position. His makeup looked identical, that, you know, he may not be well, and so he filmed them both at the same time. It's completely speculative. It requires so many different things to be true that are Is it impossible? No, it's not impossible. But I think, you know, we're trying to make sense out of something that doesn't make sense, which is just like invading Ukraine based on how we interpret it. And it's speculative and not implausible, but there's no evidence I'm aware of.
Energy sector at some level on the table if Putin gets even more aggressive. And also, you know, there are also some other countries that have worked for carve-outs, for instance, Italy and luxury goods. What is the U.S. view of those kinds of exceptions being made for things that are maybe a lot less essential, as much as we might like them, than oil and gas?
Speaking for yourself. So I would say on the energy sector, no option is off the table. But again, to go back to some of the principles here, our sanctions are designed to harm Russia's economy, not our economy. And that's a key balance that we're clearly trying to strike. And I think when Dilip has been in here a few times over the last week, he's conveyed we do risk assessments, right? And impact assessments. And that's a part of it. The other factor here on the energy sector is that starting out with energy or could actually benefit President Putin and pad his pockets, because given high oil and gas prices, cutting off Russian oil and gas could drive prices up to Putin's benefit. So that's obviously a factor as well, but it's not off the table, but we look at a range of issues.
In terms of what other countries have fought in far out or areas that they're not sanctioning, does the administration have a view of that?
I think, look, our focus right now is that we are working in close coordination and in lockstep with our European counterparts. It does not mean everything is identical. It is not identical. But what you have seen across the board is very strong, impactful sanctions that the shared hope is that they will have significant economic and financial consequences.
Does the administration have an estimate of how many Russian deaths or casualties there have been in Ukraine at this point?
I don't have that assessment from here. I don't expect we would have that assessment from here.
Ukrainians have this number 3,800 that they've been putting out, or 2,800 that they've been putting out today. Do you have any sense of the accuracy or the order of magnitude?
I don't have any assessment from here, and I don't anticipate we would. I know that
so Ukrainians are claiming they killed 2,800 Russians on Ukrainian soil. Did I understand that correctly?
They were able to make an assessment of casualties earlier today.
One more quick question on the Supreme Court process. You mentioned 3 candidates that he interviewed in person. Just want to make sure, those the only 3 candidates he interviewed in person? Did he interview any candidates virtually?
Those are the candidates he interviewed.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead. Did you have another one?
No.
Okay.
No.
Go ahead.
Thank
Go.
you so much, Jen. Thank you. Jen, does the White House stand by the support you guys gave to Brazil to become a global partner and NATO after President Bolsonaro met last week with President Putin, and still President Bolsonaro didn't condemn the invasion?
Again, as I said in relation to a question a little bit earlier, I mean, our view and our
was it casualties or killed? Right, because casualties includes injured. Now I'm doubting whether they said casualties or killed.
Where you want to be in history, as the history books look back, but that doesn't. I don't have anything in terms of our change of our view of our overarching relationship. Go ahead.
Yeah, can I just follow up on that question in terms of building a global coalition against Russia, right? I mean, India, for example, a Quad member, it's the only Quad member that's not implementing export controls, for example. I think the president yesterday mentioned that that issue still hasn't been resolved. Is he planning to call Prime Minister Modi? I think Prime Minister Modi called President Putin yesterday. And just can you speak more broadly in terms of bringing all these other partners that maybe, not in Europe, but, the Quad, as well as perhaps ASEAN members who are pretty ambivalent and cautious about condemning the Russian invasion?
I would say some were, but I wouldn't say the majority were. And we continue to engage with the Indians, with other ASEAN partners on both what we're seeing on the ground, our continued condemnation of the actions of President Putin in Ukraine, and we will continue to push others to follow suit.
And just to follow up, Delta announced today that they're suspending code sharing with Aeroflot.
Yes.
Did the White House have anything to do with this decision? And are you urging other American companies to urge them to do the same?
That's a decision by a private sector company, so I don't have any more comments
More on
on
the
it.
State of the Union, Jen. Can you preview a little bit on the foreign policy?
We already said no.
President's State of the Union. I mean, obviously with the crisis in Ukraine, I know that you're not going to be able to preview that. But just in general, now with Ukraine, before that with the Afghanistan withdrawal, what can the president say to show that his foreign policy doctrine is succeeding?
Well, without previewing the State of the Union, which we'll do later this evening or later this weekend. Sorry, it's kind of all one day that's running together. We will do later this weekend, I expect. So look ahead to that, or we'll have more to say later this weekend. It's also as it relates to Russia, Ukraine. We are unfortunately still in the middle of this conflict, right? We are in the middle of an active invasion. So I just can't give you a preview of what that will look like in the State of the Union. As it relates to how the president views his approach to foreign policy, the president has ran for president wanting to return America's seat at the world, wanting to return to a time where other leaders around the world could trust the word and the commitments of the United States. And what you have seen over the last few months is the president deliver on exactly that. He has been leading the effort in the world to stand up to Russia, stand up to the efforts, the aggression, the invasion of a sovereign country. Well, I'm not going to get into the specifics of what is going going to be in the State of the Union, that's exactly what he said he would do when he was running. Go ahead.
So the president said he's doing everything he can to bring down energy prices,
Yeah.
gas prices here in the U.S. Is on the table then, or is he considering reversing some of the policies and regulations that they put into place that constricts the long-term supply of it to let Europe be more reliant on the U.S. for oil and natural gas?
You mean like LNG exports or something like that?
But also oil prices, allowing, opening up drilling again, reversing the ban on leases on federal lands?
Well, I think what's important to note here, and I talked about this a little bit yesterday, is that there are a range of available oil leasing sites that oil companies are not utilizing. So you should ask them about that. You know the president's view on reducing our dependence on foreign oil, and actually his view is that this makes that case even stronger and diversifying the range of means of energy production everywhere around the world. As it relates to LNG exports, I don't have anything new on that. Our focus right now is on working with or engaging with a range of countries. I mentioned Japan yesterday, and having conversations with others who may have the availability of supply, natural gas supply, that was coming from the United States to provide to Europe in this time where they need it. And we're seeing some encouraging developments on that front.
One more thing on OPEC. OPEC is making moves now to get ready to include Iranian oil if the U.S. is successful with the Iran nuclear deal. Would the president then welcome Iranian oil coming into the U.S. to lower gas prices?
Well, again, we're not quite at the point of a final deal on the nuclear deal, so we will talk about that if we get to that point. Let's see. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. You've talked a couple times about the U.S. engaging in diplomacy with Russia going forward. When he announced the sanctions today against Putin and Lavrov, the British Prime Minister told NATO leaders that there could be no normalization with Russia after the attack on Ukraine. Does this administration share that view?
Well, again, in this moment, I've conveyed pretty clearly the president has no intentions at this moment to engage with President Putin.
Right.
He was just sanctioned. We just made a decision in coordination, in close lockstep with the Europeans, to sanction him ahead of state. That is a very rare step to take. And obviously, we've issued significant sanctions that cover 80% of the financial sector. So, no, we're not in a business as usual moment at this point in time. And obviously, de-escalation would help return us to a state where that could proceed.
Does the White House right now believe that President Zelensky is safe in Kyiv?
We are in close touch with him. While I'm not going to give you updates on his security state, certainly the president just spoke with him earlier today, and he continues to be the president of Ukraine. Go ahead.
Hi. In regards to the new CDC guidance on the pandemic, which of course will then be the new Biden administration guidance, what will the message be to Americans in regards to these new metrics and the new guidance as to where we are in the pandemic?
Already been asked.
Well, I would say if you look at the specific of them, we are moving. The president, we've talked a little bit about how we want to move to a time and a place where we are,
I do want to let you guys know there are reports from the last 15 minutes that there are discussions between Russia and Ukraine about meeting for negotiations. That's the latest.
Process, and we're moving forward in that process. As a result of this announcement today and these updated recommendations, today more than half the country, 70% of Americans, live in areas where the CDC no longer recommends universal masking. Obviously, if people want to wear a mask because they're immunocompromised, because they have concerns about their safeties and their safety in their communities, they should have the ability to do that.
Absolutely.
But that is certainly a step forward. So, that this is part of that process, and I expect we'll have more to say soon.
Is there concern that this might imply or have folks think that then therefore the pandemic is over and can issue all caution? And then secondly, or kind of added on to that, are you confident that there will be an ability to reverse course if things get bad again?
Well, if nobody is saying it means it's over, including anybody who has a big platform, for example, then we're not concerned about that. That is not what we're conveying from here, right? What we are conveying from here and what the CDC is conveying is that America is in a stronger place today as a nation. We have more tools than ever before to protect ourselves from COVID-19. Vaccination, boosters, treatments, testing, high-quality masks, improved ventilation. Over 200 million people are vaccinated. Nearly 100 million Americans have been boosted. And the CDC is providing public health guidance that has a couple of different clear levels so that people can understand what their recommendation is as it relates to wearing a mask. That's exactly what this is. There are still people dying every day of COVID. There are still immunocompromised populations. But what we are trying to work towards is a period of time where where COVID is not disrupting our daily lives. Go ahead.
Just wanted to know, you said that the president has done everything in his power. We've seen the sanctions, shoring up the NATO eastern flank, all of that, but no troops. You repeated that. Doesn't that also send the message to Vladimir Putin, clearly it hasn't stopped him, that other nations in the region that are not NATO members are also free game for him, since he's not going to have that stop?
Well, I don't think the crippling sanctions that the president has issued or approved, and we announced yesterday, that cover 80% of the finance.
See, it's quite literally a no-win, because if Biden leaves open the possibility of troops, then he gets called a bloodthirsty warmonger who wants to get us into an on-the-ground conflict. And if he says we're not going to do that, then they say, should you really be drawing that line? Because then you're just telling Putin, no matter what you do, we won't send troops. Now, the truth is, you can still be involved without sending troops in so many different ways, including without advocating for any of these things, the cyber attack possibilities, you know, all these different. Either way, they would be critical of Biden for that.
Objective is to divide the West. It's having the opposite effect. So I don't think that would be our assessment.
But
go ahead.
Can I just a quick question on cyber attacks?
Yeah.
The NATO Secretary General again said that he would view a cyber attack on a NATO member, this time talking about NATO members, as something that would be under Article 5. Is that the view of the United States also, that a cyber attack?
Yeah, I answered this yesterday, and I said that it would be up to NATO members to determine what that looks like and what any response would look like. Go ahead.
Has the president been in touch with, before or after the decision today, with Congressman Clyburn? He, of course, was a big booster.
Yeah, he called him this morning.
Thanks, Jen.
Oh, okay, one more, last one.
Thank you, Jen.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Jen. You've said that the U.S. will not go to war against Russia. Obviously, Russia is heavily armed. The U.S. is heavily armed, and I'm just wondering if you're not being pragmatic here with Russia. Have you not been pragmatic to recognize that it may not be in the interest of the U.S. for Ukraine to be a member of NATO, which is the key request from Russia?
I'm not sure I'm understanding your question. Are you asking me if
in the interest of the U.S. for Ukraine?
He never understands this guy's question.
It is up to every country to determine what alliances they want to join or not join, and that is not a pressure point we issue from the United States, and we think it's important for that to remain open.
That you are looking for a job at CNN or MSNBC?
I have more than enough on my plate here, and so you can't get rid of me quite yet. Sorry, Peter, for you on that. And so I will see you all on Monday.
Right.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Jen.
Oh, man. If you guys didn't hear the question, there's these rumors floating around that the rumor is CNN and MSNBC would like to have her. Not that she's looking for a job. All right, let's go to Nigel Farage for the toxic coda to the evening.
Saying that Taiwan is part of China. If China takes Taiwan, you realize what that will do to us? Despite the massive investments, the semiconductors that are needed for so much of our modern life, the semiconductors that are needed without which
looking very strongly
would grind to a halt, they are still manufactured for the most part in Taiwan. If China moves against the weak West, if China moves against the weak American president,
if you're looking for colloidal silver or essential oils and you think there's 10 people you might be able to recruit into your downline, Nigel Farage has a presentation for you.
Consequences for all of us. So you see, however you feel sitting here right now, however uncomfortable you feel about this burden of responsibility that is on America's shoulders, you can see if we don't act, don't get this right, it will have catastrophic consequences. They're the enemies that we face outside, but we also face enemies inside. Our universities have been turned into madrasas of Marxism, determined to indoctrinate and poison our young people.
Oh, he's out of his mind.
Determined
He's out
to
of his
turn the
mind.
population. Is it not working? Is that better?
No, we can still hear you.
Would have thought CPAC could have got the kit right, but anyway. Our young people are being poisoned. We're being turned against ourselves. Whilst these great threats,
Listen, guys, education is bad. Elementary schools, very bad. High schools, terrible. College, liberal indoctrination. Doctors, can't trust them. Media's bad. News stations bad. Hollywood bad. Books bad. You've better just sit there in a dark room with a candle and a Bible, or otherwise it's going to be very bad.
To an organization called Black Lives Matter, and very few people have got the courage to stand up and to fight that. So we have that problem within that we have to fight. And I know many of you are doing it. You're running for school boards. You're getting involved.
Let's craft a tweet about that.
But if we're going to make the world a better place, if we're going to keep our history, our heritage, our culture, if we're going to defend Western civilization, this is the battleground. It's America. Because if America falls, the whole of the free world will fall. You've got to win this fight, and to do that, you've got to take back the House. You've got to take back the Senate. You've got to take back, in 2024, the presidency of the USA. And you can do it.
Boom.
You can do it. The Democrats are making it.
Let's
and
do
you
it.
can do it. You can do it. The Democrats are making a complete mess of everything, but don't underestimate their machine. Don't underestimate their discipline. Don't underestimate how well funded they are. And to beat them,
They're not that well funded.
is the silent majority to stand up and say, I am going to do something. I am going to make an effort. I am going to join an organization. We need you. All of us in the free world need you to win this. And I want to leave you with one last thought.
Strike and strike and strike and...
November the 3rd, 2020, the events of that day, or should I say the events of the preceding weeks.
Uh-oh.
It's called Election Day. But when you have mass mail-out ballots, the election day takes place weeks before. There is no form of mail-out postal voting that is not open to fraud, abuse, and intimidation. Never, anywhere. And I've seen it in Britain's cities. Tony Blair introduced this. It's been a disaster. America.
It's Trump with a British accent and slightly better education.
It makes sense for the Republican Party to go on talking about the stolen election. Well, you may say yes in this hall because you're political activists and you understand what happened. Remember, most voters are busy with their lives, busy with their mortgages, busy with their kids, worried about their jobs, worried about the price of gas, the cost of living, and all of those things. And this message of a stolen election, if you think about it, is actually a negative, backward-looking message.
He's right.
There is a better, more positive message.
Very light applause,
the
though.
Party needs to embrace, and it's this. We are going state by state, vote by vote, to make sure that America has the best, the cleanest, the fairest election system anywhere in the Western world. We will make sure no election again ever can be open to doubt, and that negative anger must be turned into a positive. You've got to offer the voters of this country a shining city on the hill. You've got to give them a vision. People want dreams. People want hopes. And the deliverers of that message are you guys. You are the people's army. You are the ones that can inspire. You are the ones that can mobilize. You are the ones that can motivate. The only question is, are you ready for this great battle? Are you ready for America to once again take on its position as the leader of the free world? Are you ready for a big win in the midterms in November? Thank you, CPAC.
Right. More like... Okay, that is the conclusion, I think, of CPAC for today. Nigel Farage. Now they're moving on to a job fair in the room Panzacola H1. That's the next thing on the agenda. All right, everybody, we are into hour 4, and that will conclude our coverage today. I want every last one of you tomorrow to join me here
David, right?
at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for the keynote of CPAC with Donald Trump, and then Tuesday for the State of the Union address with President Joe Biden. I want every one of you here. I really do. Okay? See everybody then. Thank you for joining me.